Zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Scale 1 to 10, immediate number locked in. Beers, do you have a number?
I'd say so.
Should we say it at the same time? How do you
Say it
want
at
to do
the
this?
1, 2, 3, go.
4.
I'd put 0.
Oh, interesting.
I said,
Really?
I said, honestly, it feels like almost 0.
I'm shocked that I'm the highest of the group.
Yeah, well,
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I read a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Briscoe, and Drake. The Zone presented by Google Fiber. Award-winning internet without data caps, annual contracts, or hidden fees. Now available up to 5 gigs, but that 1 gig internet still the same price since 2012. Google Fiber. Internet so easy to set up and use, you may never need the award-winning customer service at all. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us here in the Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB on a Wednesday. Here's how the show lines up today. We will talk for the first time with Jalen Thompson, the brand new beat writer for the Kansas City Star. He is there in San Diego with the Royals as they wrap up their 3-game set, the rubber match against the Padres today at 3:10. We'll talk with him about his first couple of weeks on the job with the Royals, getting to know the Kansas City Royals, his thoughts so far, some other things going on with the club. So we will talk with Jalen Thompson coming up at 11 o'clock. Jeff Montgomery, Monty, Royals Hall of Famer, Bally Sports TV, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. We'll talk with him coming up at noon, get his thoughts again on some Royals things and Brady Singer's last couple of outings. Brad Keller, I'm pitching too fast. I'm pitching too slow. My tempo. That's why the walks are there. Is it, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Well, you know, the drive line said to go faster, but now I'm going too fast. I've kind of lost it. Looks like I'm walking a bunch of guys. Oh, wait, I was doing that before, too. So we'll talk with Jeff Montgomery about why Brad Keller sounds like that when he's talking about the tempo, and some other things like, you know, how well the Royals last night played defense like the 2018 Chiefs, roughly. And unlike the 2018 Chiefs, the Royals last night couldn't even get to the quarterback. Didn't even sack the quarterback one time, yet they were still letting things through the air fall safely, whether to the turf or in the hands of receivers.
At least both teams exhibited really good fundamentals on the base paths. That's what I watched baseball for, and I was not left wanting last night.
Hey, guys, we're staying after we got some base running drills. No, you guys too in the other dugout. No,
Yeah.
you guys too. Everybody
out.
No, I said everybody. Everybody's doing base running drills tonight. 2 plans, too many of them today. We are going to learn how to run the bases today. Vinny, that's Tatis. Don't run. There are guys you can run on and guys you can't run on. He's not exactly the main guy that you can't run on, but you don't run on him. Okay? You don't do it. I love the line from Matt Quatrero last night when he was asked, I didn't cut it because it was just a very short little clip, was asked about, what'd you think of Vinny's base running trying to go first to third? He goes, I wasn't a fan of it. Didn't like it. And said, Tatis with a pretty good arm there. He goes, yeah, that's why I wasn't a fan of it. It's just a great, yeah.
Yeah, we know.
I'm aware. It was a great throw.
I've heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's good. That's why I wasn't a fan of it. If it was Bucky Legree, the scrappy little no-armed second baseman from Scranton, then yeah, go first to third because that guy being able to kick the ball in should be able to get you to third. I can't remember the guy's name on Family Guy, the scrappy little no-arm second baseman. You know, I feel like that's a play that could have been made by someone with 2 arms. In fact, even somebody with 1 arm could have made that play. You know, when he hasn't had a hit in ever.
What was your guess as to his name?
Bucky Legree or something like that?
Bucky Lagrange.
Bucky Lagrange.
Or potentially Lagrange.
Bucky Lagrange. It was Bucky Lagrange.
Is it his Lagrange?
Yeah, Bucky Lagrange, a scrappy little no-arm second baseman. They toss the ball to him covering second base, and it flies right by him. And he just looks down and just starts kicking the dirt.
Well, he has no hits and a remarkable string of errors. He is still in the major leagues, which the announcers are astounded by.
That's exactly right. And he hasn't had a hit in ever. So we'll talk with Jeff Montgomery about the Rawls. And you know what? All that being said, even though it was a 4-game losing streak, they have a chance to take 2 out of 3 series. 3 of 4 from the White Sox while they got swept by the Brewers. They got a chance today to take the series against the Padres. Now, it's bullpen Carlos Hernandez on the mound against Yu Darvish. Other than that, sounds like a very plausible thing to accomplish today for the Royals at 3:10. 913-912-4810. Mick Schaefer will join us at 1 o'clock. KSHP 41 Sports Director. That's how the show lines up today. We start with the Western Conference Finals. Game 1 last night in Denver. 1-0 Nuggets lead now in the Western Conference Finals. What ended up being a 6-point win for the Nuggets over the Lakers. What was a 21-point lead in the third quarter at one point. That got down to 3 with 45 seconds to go, and a three-pointer in the air from LeBron that was maybe an inch and a half away from splashing down, rims out just barely to the left, and then misses it, and rebound goes to the right, but just barely to the left, in and out. The Nuggets then get a couple free throws, and then the whole back and forth type deal, but Nuggets end up winning by 6. It was too little too late for the Lakers because they fell behind by 21. I'm not sure what to think the rest of the series. I gave my thoughts before the series started that I think this is a Nuggets in 5, but the Lakers will win one somewhere along the way, that maybe it's like, they pulled one out of their hat, so it'll be Nuggets in 6 is my official prediction, is Nuggets in 6. The most likely outcome for the better team with the best player in the world playing on it. It's a very, very out on a limb, risky prediction for me to take the most likely outcome in a series of the better team winning in 6 games.
Brave, bold.
I know.
Proud of you.
I know. And I'm couching it by going, well, I think it could be 5.
Could even be 7.
But I think I'm going to land on
could be 4.
the highest percentage.
But I'll take probably
being 6. Because the Nuggets are the better team and they've got the best player in the world. So I'm going to go with them in 6.
I say 2.
If they win game 2, it might go ahead and be 2, although the series wouldn't have started yet.
No, that's the thing. I mean, if it's at most, the team with home court advantage can win in 3. Now, the lower seeded team, I think, could win in 2 because they could start and finish the series in 2 games.
Yeah, that's right.
They start the series with a road win, and then a game 2 win on the road. That's must win for the home team. They've lost. So, Heat in 2, I guess? I don't know. I don't actually believe in that one.
We could have, for the next 12 days, basketball every single night if both games go to 7 games. That would be great.
I would prefer that to these short series we're talking about.
Yep, that would be fun. Tonight is Game 1, Heat and Celtics. On Thursday will be Game 2, Lakers-Nuggets. Friday, then, Game 2, Heat and Celtics. But last night, so my thoughts leading into it versus now coming out of Game 1 is obviously it was too little too late for the Lakers in that game. Jokic is just freaking amazing. 31 points, 24 rebounds, 14 assists in the game. It was a tale of 2 halves in what the Nuggets were simply able to do against a team that is built on defense, getting stops, transition defense, and then countering off their defense. Not the best shooting team, but finding ways to score, getting to the free throw line a lot, knocking down threes from time to time, having certain players get hot, whether that be D'Angelo Russell or sometimes Austin Reeves. 3 of the last 4 games, it's been Reeves, along with Russell a couple times too. But a team that was built on defense that had 100 points in the third quarter they had given up to the Nuggets. And it wasn't great, Bob, in what they were doing defensively. But the reason I'm sort of in the middle of what I gleaned from Game 1 is that I think the obvious and surface level reaction would be the Lakers really figured something out. They put Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic, which allowed Anthony Davis to roam a little bit, which allowed Anthony Davis defensively, rebound-wise, to do what he can do. And if you just look at second half numbers, Jokic in the second half only had 5 rebounds. He had 16 in the first half because he ended up with, 34, 21, and 14? I think I said 31, 24. 34 points, 21 rebounds, and 14 assists for Jokic. He had 16 in the first half, 5 in the second half. Anthony Davis was no longer guarding Jokic, it was Hachimura, which allowed Anthony Davis to go and clean up the boards. He had 8 second-half rebounds, 22 points, which, both halves would give you 16. Roughly what Jokic had in the first half when he was able just to go up against Anthony Davis. Davis is one of the premier defenders. You can be a premier defender and not have a chance against a premier offensive player.
That's right.
And with Anthony Davis on Jokic, it allows him to be a point forward, point center. He can bring the ball up. Davis isn't going to guard him on the three-point line. If he does, you risk fouling him, driving by him, now help defense, now kick out. They've got shooters there with the Nuggets, whether that be KCP or Murray or Michael Porter Jr. They've got guys that can knock down threes. It is the dream supporting cast of LeBron is to have three-point shooters on the wing and him drive, attack, and kick or finish. Jokic has that. And those guys knock down shots. And with Anthony Davis on him, it was easier to do that. With Hachimura on him, Jokic can't really handle the ball out on the perimeter. So you've changed some things. And it allows Anthony Davis to play defense on different guys, to roam the middle of the paint, grab all the boards, which is essentially what he did. He and LeBron were controlling the boards in the second half. So I think that's the surface level reaction of, hey, they outscored him by 16 in the second half. The Lakers did. And Jokic and AD had a better second half than Jokic did. But what I actually think is what's more likely to continue in Game 2 from Game 1? Jamal Murray dropping 30? Yeah. Michael Porter Jr. hitting a bunch of threes? Yeah. That's what he's been doing since he's been healthy. Jokic being an MVP caliber player? Yeah. That's kind of what he does. Gordon being just your dog that kind of does everything, that you got to grab rebounds, you got to guard, you got to do some things here, you get to the free throw line, not great at the free throw line, but good enough, doing some of those things. Yeah.
21 points from KCP?
Right.
You know what? Every once in a while, that dude kind of does it.
He does. He can knock down threes. He was 3 of 8. He missed a couple of open ones there in the fourth, which would have been backbreakers, which allowed the Lakers sort of stay in it, but he hit some shots that were like, oh, wow, this is getting out of hand because KCP is knocking down shots. So what's more likely to happen, that or Rui Hachimura dropping 17 points and playing defense against Nikola Jokic like that and Anthony Davis having 40?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess. Now, Reeves, I would say, it's like, is Austin Reeves going to knock down all those threes and hit 20 points? Well, this is now the third game out of 4 for Reeves to get 20.
Yeah.
So he has been a different player since the last 3 games against Golden State, and now game 1. 2 games ago, I would have said, 20 from Reeves. I mean, you're looking at like 10 to 14. Him dropping 20, let's calm down. But I think he's had 21, 23, 15, and then whatever he had last night, like 21.
21 last night as well.
So, and he hit a bunch of threes.
23 last night.
23
sorry,
last night.
Reeves.
Hit a bunch of threes in the fourth quarter. I think that can stay because of what Reeves has done. And I think LeBron is LeBron. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get about 25 to 30 points, 7 to 10 rebounds, 6 to 9, nice, or assists, somewhere around there. Maybe a triple-double mixed in, but it's not going to be Jokic numbers the way that LeBron would have been putting up roughly those particular numbers. I think the Nuggets have better staying power in what they did last night versus the Lakers. So while it's nice that they made an adjustment, I think it is playing with fire if you think going into Game 2 against the number 1 seed, Game 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many, and saying, boy, a lot rides on the shoulders of Rui Hachimura.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck with that against the number 1 team, I think the best team in the NBA, to do that. So while I think some people can come out of Game 1 and go, this can be an awesome series because of the adjustments the Lakers made, certainly. If you tell me Hachimura is going to play like that the next 3, 4, 5, 6, however many games are going to be played, yeah, the Lakers can win the series. But here's the thing about Hachimura. He's been more of a three-point shooter. He had 7 made 2s last night. So he wasn't just a spot-up shooter, wasn't just a 3-and-D guy. He had 7 made 2s. Against Golden State in the entire series, he made 9 two-point field goals. He had 7 last night. What's more likely to continue? And if you can't get anything from D'Angelo Russell, and he can't be on the court because they were abusing him. It was like Devin Booker in the Final Four against Wisconsin. People complain that you had Devin Booker play like 12 minutes. He scored 80 in the NBA and you lost to Wisconsin. because Bo Ryan put a clown suit on Cal when Booker was in the game because Cal and Kentucky switched every single screen, and they went until it was Decker and Booker getting switched on Decker, and then Decker abused him. He couldn't be in the game. Russell couldn't be in the game last night. And if he's not in the game, you take away a huge scoring option for the Lakers.
Have you seen D'Angelo Russell's plus minus last night?
I mean, is it like minus 25?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was.
No way.
Yeah, you nailed it. You
No.
no-scoped it.
I honestly,
Damn
I did
it.
not look at that. I was just
Can
like,
you just say -2 and play the game?
Yeah, no way it was -2.
If you hit the bullseye, that's a good one. Yeah, Anthony Davis was like -8. Yeah, some of these numbers,
Yeah.
whatever, fine. Rory was plus 10, but no one else touches double digits anywhere in the Lakers side of this box score.
Amazing.
Except for D'Angelo Russell, for the reasons you just laid
Yeah.
out. The only other thing I would add on the Nuggets side is that when you talk about these adjustments, and the Lakers did make adjustments, there was some growth there. I think some of that's sustainable.
I think so.
I hope some of it's sustainable.
But what's then the adjustment now with the Nuggets to play off of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the team in the sport who I think is probably the single most capable at adjusting between game 1 and game 2 because their best player is the queen on the chessboard. Honestly, what can Nikola Jokic not do other than, to this point, actually get his team to the finals?
I don't think he'd be a good quarterback.
Have you seen him throw one of those quarterback-style passes?
I don't think
one of
he'd
those
be
baseline-to-baseline passes?
I don't think he'd be a great wide receiver. I
Got great hands, great size. I'd take him there, too.
I'm not sure he could play center field.
He's got pretty long legs, pretty good range.
I don't think he could be a 300 hitter in baseball.
I think that's true.
Can he run the board for the show?
Yes.
I think he could.
He runs the floor. I think he can run the board.
I really think.
Yeah.
And I know, well, the issue is he might just want to crash the boards, and that's not what Drake does. Don't crash the boards, please. But that's what it is, right? Like, even if the Lakers do unpack some sort of secret code of like, oh, well, we're just going to make Nikola Jokic one-dimensional. We're going to just make him rebound and assist. Series over. We're just going to make him score one-on-one against a smaller... Series over. We're going to make him shoot threes. Series over. It's crazy. He is impossible to game plan around.
Which, by the way, even with the adjustment, this is what's amazing about the adjustment and even with the adjustment, Jokic's second half numbers with the adjustment was 15, 5, and 7, which is still 30, 10, and 14.
Put the clamps on him.
It's still a 30-point triple-double with 14 assists. Even when it was, well, they look at the adjustment and what they did against Jokic then with Hachimura.
They figured him out.
Yeah.
30-point triple-double.
It's just the rebounds is only different because he had 7 assists in the first half,
Right.
7 assists in the second half. He had, 16 points in the first half, 15 points in the second half. The only difference was that he had 16 rebounds in the first half and 5 in the second half. I guess he had 19 in the first half, 15 in the second half.
And I'll have
for
to
Jokic.
pull up what the numbers would be for the team rebounding there, but like it's not a team that is completely lacking in
Yeah.
size. Like it's not like Michael Porter Jr. is this out of position, undersized small forward. I mean they have the range. This lineup is really good. I really do hope that this series. I hope that the fourth quarter is an indication of things to come because this series going 6 or 7 could be a blast. I just still feel extremely confident that the Nuggets are right now the best team. I think the best team in basketball, honestly, and I don't know that's that close.
No,
That doesn't mean they'll
agree with
win the whole thing, but right now they're the best team in basketball.
No, I agree with that. I do wonder this one about Hachimura as to, can he sustain with the 2-point field goals that he had and especially the main 2-point field goals, it was the threat of him knocking down threes. It was head and shoulder fake driving. It was good. He also had a back cut on Bruce Brown that lost him. Or no, it was KCP that was just looking out to the 3-point line and nobody was there and Hachimura was dunking it. You can't let that happen. But that particular play is when they've got Jokic on AD and you've got Gordon on LeBron, I mean, Reeves and Schroeder, whatever. But Hachimura is 6'8", 230. So that is the one thing to where there is kind of an advantage there because MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., ain't exactly, putting on defensive Gary Payton clinics.
That is also fair.
Bruce Brown is, 6'4" and 200 pounds to Hachimura's 6'8", 230. And KCP is, 6'2", 6'3", and still giving up 30 pounds.
Instead of 6'5" KCP. I've always thought of
he
him as
6'5"?
being sneaky taller, but I don't know.
So he's giving up 3 inches, and what's he, like 200?
Yeah, 6'5", 204, just like his ESPN
Yeah, so
listing.
he's
I don't
giving
know
up
how up to
like
date that is.
so he's giving up like 25 pounds.
That could have been from 2013
Yeah.
for all I know.
And he's one of them that got burned by just getting lost and in the middle of a Lakers run, you'd think, okay, you got to dig in. It's Game 1 Western Conference Finals, and he just looks over and nobody's there because Hachimura went and back cut. So the screen and roll with the Lakers in putting Jamal Murray into the screen and roll so that it was then switched on LeBron with Jamal Murray, who then played bully ball. What did the Nuggets do then? And honestly, who does guard Hachimura? Because of this being 6'8", 230, who can knock down threes, and then showed that he's willing to attack the rim and can finish. That is on advantage.
Sure.
But again, I think it would be a fool's errand to say, I feel pretty good about the Lakers with Hachimura being the main advantage they have. That's a rough one.
Yeah. Because even if you are buying into what Anthony Davis has been throughout this stretch and LeBron continuing to find the fountain of youth to have at least a few games where he can take over and other games where they're winning just with him playing really solid basketball. And like you talked about, the most like foundational LeBron stuff of all time of the drive and kick, and there's somebody there to hit that shot, and then will that guy hit it or not? But there is going to be a push and pull in this series that I was not as confident in at halftime. At
Agreed.
halftime, I was a little bit going,
At halftime, I'm like, okay, it's probably 5.
this one's probably going 5. And I do think it bodes well that the Lakers had an adjustment
Yeah.
that still did not get them this game. They were not able to steal this one. They make the adjustment. I think it's a little bit silly to look up on the ESPN shows today, and I was talking to Shane earlier.
Why?
I know it's by accident, I promise. I was talking to Shane earlier, and they had the TV up, and it was like, who should feel better now, the Lakers at a loss or the Nuggets after a win? And then just for like a little anecdote, I got these 3 messages all within the 10:09 p.m. window last night from former 810 great Rudy Salazar. His jersey hangs in the rafters forever. 10:09 p.m. Nuggets getting swept. This is over. I'm dead. The Nuggets didn't trail in that period of time. The Nuggets did not trail for any moment in that period of time.
The Lakers were going to win.
He said the Nuggets were getting swept as that was as the Laker comeback was going on. And Rudy's got a lot of sort of sports trauma that he's really working through. That group chat during Suns Nuggets was a disaster.
Raise your hand, and I think it's going to be safe to ask this question for anybody driving, even if you're Bucky LaGrange and you're driving. Raise your hand if you ever thought the Lakers were going to take the lead last night in their comeback.
Every Nuggets fan is driving unsafely right now. That's what I'm telling you. I think there are a bunch of Nuggets fans right now with their hands straight up.
That's amazing.
It is.
You know what that is? That is Chiefs fans that thought when Burrow got the ball at the end of the AFC Championship game 20-20, it was he's going to find a way to go down and kick a field goal. They're going to win the freaking game because we've seen this before. It's going to be a 23-20 loss for the Chiefs. And other people watching were going, Bengals haven't been able to do anything. This defense has been putting pressure on Joe Burrow. The last touchdown that they had was because Mahomes just simply lost the football trying to throw it to the outside when the Chiefs were driving to completely control the game after they totally got screwed by the officials on a bad holding call that cost them 35 yards of field position because clearly the NFL and the officials wanted the Bengals to win.
Obviously.
That much was obvious. But people from the outside watching it were like, yeah, I had no faith in the Bengals to go and score there because of the way the Chiefs defense had been playing. But Chiefs fans were like, seen it before. It's what's going to happen. They're going to go down, they're going to win 23-20, and Mahomes not going to be able to come back because he's got the ankle and he's got wide receivers that are named Briscoe, Drake, and Jason that he's throwing to. And there's only 11 yards to be had with one of those guys as a receiver, and that's it. And look what happened. The Chiefs ended up winning. Because reality of separating all of the bad feelings and the fandom there was like, okay, which team was playing the better football throughout the game? Which was the Chiefs in that game? Which team was playing the better football? Which team was the best team on the floor last night? It was the Nuggets.
It was the Nuggets.
Lakers were making a comeback, but I never thought for a second they were going to take the lead. Even if LeBron knocks down that 3,
oh man, but what
the
if
Nuggets were going to still win the game.
Like honestly, you're probably right. But what if that goes in?
Yeah, Nuggets were still, and even he turned around and went, ooh, that was close. Yeah, it was, but it didn't go. Close, horseshoes, hand grenades, not the NBA.
You know what I love?
Not game 1.
I can't remember who it was who pulled up. Might have been Bruce Brown at the end. That Jeff Van Gundy was just beside himself.
Go take your layup.
Take the basket. It's like, man, they're up by 6 at that point. Like, Jeff, you don't have to be.
5.
It was 5. Okay, you're
because
right. And then
Jokic only hit one free throw.
You're right.
Still kept it a 2-possession game.
JVG was correct. But it was so funny to me, and I love that broadcast booth. I love all
really
of the
good.
jokes that come out of that broadcast
They're
booth.
fun.
But it is so funny to me. It's like, and the Nuggets are closing in on the. Go take your bucket. Go. What? This game isn't over yet. Go take your 2 free points. Like that's just his brow is furrowed 24/7.
I'm glad that one of the series has that group throughout the entire series.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
glad that it's ESPN/ABC. I think Game 3 will be on ABC because it's a weekend game. But still, it's going to be the same broadcast crew, so they're fun.
That's good. I'm glad they're not. I hadn't even given that any thought. That it'll be
Yeah.
the same crews for
Eastern
each series.
Conference is TNT.
Good, and
I'm good with that too.
At this point, there is not a bad booth in the NBA. I think they've
Absolutely.
got these figured out.
Absolutely.
One from each network.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Whether you like it or not, we'll talk some Royals. We'll also talk with Jalen Thompson, the new beat reporter for the Kansas City Star, writing and covering the Kansas City Royals there in San Diego. Jeff Montgomery, Bally Sports, Royals Hall of Famer, coming up at noon. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We'll also get into the cool story coming out of college football and some video games.
Yes.
Yes, a little throwback to my youth. It's been 10 years, a whole decade of nothingness. Now, it's been 20 years since I've played video games, but 10 years since people have enjoyed college football. We'll talk about that. And an NHL team on the move.
Yes.
More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
And WHB, Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, and Drake. We'll talk some Royals here, but the Spurs won the lottery, the NBA lost, in my mind. The Spurs were a fun team when they had the big three. Still the most postseason wins by a triumvirate in NBA history is Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan. Golden State's catching up with Clay, Steph, and Draymond, and then you've got Lakers and.
Ooh, but if they didn't catch him, that might be done.
That's a good point.
That could be. They could. The Spurs could hold on to that.
Spurs could hold on to that.
Interesting.
So it made it entertaining from that standpoint, but without the big three, man, it just feels like milquetoast. It just feels like white paint on the wall, like egg. You're choosing between eggshell. Are we going with satin? Are we going with matte? I mean, it's still boring paint on the wall. Maybe you can spice it up with Victor being down there in San Antonio. But I thought from an entertainment standpoint, Dallas would have been amazing. From an entertainment standpoint of just like, and Mahomes would have liked it, but from an entertainment standpoint, with you to have Luka and Victor on the court at the same time who can play off each other. It's not like it was Shaq and Chris Webber when the Magic won the lottery, and it's like, well, how are they going to play? Okay, they traded and got Penny Hardaway. All right, makes sense.
They really kind of brought the flat Earth together in Dallas.
That's right. But I think Luka and Victor could have played off each other. San Antonio, it's like, okay. What does it do? Keeps Popovich from retiring?
He will. That man is. That was the takeaway for me. Is Greg Popovich will never quit.
Did you see the video though? I will say the video of the bar in San Antonio.
No, I'm gonna go find it.
That was pretty cool. I saw it last night. When I saw it last night, it had like 600,000 views. So I'm assuming by now it's probably got a couple million. But it shows from pick 4 down to essentially 2.
Yeah.
And each one they're like getting more excited and they're like, oh, shut up. Pick 3, like, and then pick 2, it's just like they won the NBA Finals. Like it was a last-second shot in Game 7, and there's alcohol being sprayed everywhere, the immediate eruption and jumping with, liquid being spilled everywhere, people running around and screaming and jumping up and down, and it was a cool scene because, Wembanyama could be a franchise changer, and the Spurs in San Antonio, it's what they have. The Riverwalk and the Spurs. It's what, and the Alamo.
This does look like a World Cup celebration.
It does. It is amazing. So good for them. Good for San Antonio. It is a good basketball town. I love going to San Antonio for the Final Four. It is my favorite Final Four destination. If Missouri ever makes it to the Final Four, I would love for it to be in San Antonio. I wouldn't care what city it was in.
You'd be down regardless. Good to know.
But if I had my druthers, I'd even go if the Final Four was in St. Louis. I'd even go.
I think that would be fair.
I'd even go there. That's how much I would just follow for that. But my druthers would be, if one of the local teams go to the Final Four, KU's been able to experience it a couple times in San Antonio. It's phenomenal. It's great. Everything's right there. You park and you don't have to get in your car again. You can walk to the Alamo. You walk the Riverwalk. The arena is right there. I mean, it's awesome. All the bars and everything, the hotels, it's great. It's a perfect location. And all along the Riverwalk with all of the sports bars and restaurants, everybody's just wearing all different types of gear. You see fans from, every school. It was awesome to be in San Antonio. Cool. NBA standpoint,
Yeah. I think that
I would have been good with Detroit, too. Detroit would have been fun with the last couple of picks that they have had in the lottery that, you throw in Victor. You're talking about 3 guys that could be core pieces to make some noise in the East.
I think that set in after me, certainly for the top 2, because once it was, hey, Charlotte or San Antonio, I was like, well...
I would have been fine with Charlotte for some reason, just because I still have nostalgia of the old Charlotte Hornets with Alonzo Mourning and LJ and NBA jams. Like, there's still a part of me that likes that Charlotte Hornet aspect, but you're right. Once it got to 2 or 1 or 2, like Charlotte or San Antonio,
Portland would have been wild. Say, hey, Dame, you've been waiting for a moment here. You've been waiting for a co-pilot.
Still want to be traded?
Congratulations! And now we'll see what ends up happening there. Houston, obviously, they dropped a couple spots there at 4. That was the one that I felt like made the most sense. That would have been in a spot where he could have immediately been a superstar, and that would have made it a lot easy to follow. Now, obviously, I think this could happen in San Antonio as well. The thing with San Antonio that has me the most curious at this point is, first of all, they do have a outrageous history with international stars becoming superstars in their franchise. And I don't know how much that translates from France in particular.
Yeah.
And with number 1 picks. And I wonder if this version of Pop, this version of the NBA, this version of whoever the Spurs are now, I wonder if Tim Duncan, personality-wise, was Tim Duncan because of Tim Duncan, or if he was personality-wise because of Tim Duncan because of San Antonio. If that makes sense, like is this the circumstances you're in? Are you just sort of, or are you a quiet superstar from day one naturally? And I think we've got plenty of evidence for Duncan that it's maybe a little bit of both, but that's truly who he was. I just hope Wembanyama has a chance to be a rising star, not immediately assumed to be the MVP next year. I don't know what his betting odds will be, but they will be way too high, way too soon. But I would like to see his career in a healthy environment, which I do think San Antonio still is. Like, I do trust them to rebuild appropriately around him. But I would have hated Dallas because I'm deeply, deeply upset with the Dallas Mavericks franchise for a whole host of reasons. I hate them. They might be my least favorite organization in professional sports right now, and it's just because of the hurt they have caused me and the hurt the Suns have caused themselves. So I would have been furious about Dallas. But a Portland, certainly Dallas, maybe to some extent, it would have been a huge odds. You mentioned New Orleans or Toronto or Oklahoma City. A team that has some pieces and a foundation built in that got to add Wemby would have been incredible because that team could have immediately been good. I don't know what the Spurs are going to look like, but I feel like for the health of Victor's long-term career, it's probably a pretty good spot for him, even if it's not the most fun spot for us.
Somehow the number 8 pick in the draft, Wizards, were incredibly close to getting the number 1 pick. So the Wizards allotted lottery combinations. Again, they should have been the 8th pick. They got the 8th pick.
Right, okay.
Included the numbers on the first 3 ping pong balls that were drawn.
Wow.
They had 6 of the remaining 11 numbers.
Woo!
The 4th ping pong ball, if it was one of the 6, they would have had the number 1 pick.
Holy cow.
And they ended up being the 8th pick.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's how close the Wizards were from being the 8th pick in the draft to being number 1 and just a franchise-altering ping pong ball that floats to the top. That all those different numbers that that's why it's like all the 140 combinations for the top 3 teams that have the same percentage, like all these different combinations of when the numbers are popping up and everything. It's like the first 3 ping pong balls obviously had, the Spurs and some other teams, but 6 of the final 11. They had a better than 50% chance when it came to the final ping pong ball to get the number 1 pick, and they got the 8th.
That's
just
that kind of stuff. There was something like that with an NHL lottery a couple of years ago. Maybe it might have been the McDavid lottery, and one of those teams ended up just being I cannot remember what the mechanics of it were, but it was one of those situations where you go, oh man, you are a ping pong ball away from.
Would you want to know that?
I think so.
I don't know that I would want to know that because the rest of Wembanyama's career, I would think about if they started it over from the 3rd ping pong ball.
Yep.
Odds are the next one to come up would have been Wembanyama on your team, as opposed to the lottery worked out. You were supposed to have the 8th pick. You got the 8th pick. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. It was like a 1 in 3 chance for them to be the 8th pick, and 1 in 3 chance that's what hit. Hey. But crazy that the 1 in 3 chance overall is what hit when they had a better than 50% chance once it got 3/4 of the way through. A lot of numbers and percentages there in fractions. 3/4 of the way through, they had a 50% chance, but 33.3 repeating, of course, is ultimately where they ended up getting because that 1/3 is what they were supposed to have anyway with the number 8 pick in the lottery.
I followed. I think I'm with you. I also feel terrible for Detroit. They watched that team win 17 games this year to get the 5th overall pick.
5th overall pick.
5th. Oh.
I mean, as like a Royals fan, it's like, they should be picking 5th. Now they're picking 7th. Oh, that sucks. Detroit, you could pick 1st. You're picking 5th. At least the Wizards are picking where they thought they would pick.
See, there you go. It's heartbreak, but they ended up where they're supposed to be. That's fine.
You could be Detroit. If you're Washington, it could be Detroit that you thought you had a 1 in 3 chance essentially of getting the number 1 pick. Instead, you slid all the way down to number 5.
Kind of interesting also that nobody outside of the top 5 actually moved. We usually see somebody end up climbing a little bit, but I'm on Tankathon right now. I mean, everyone from 6 through 14 ended up in the original slot.
Yep.
And then obviously Detroit fell.
But the main story
the way to
coming out of
5.
there obviously was Wembanyama, but also just when the details came out of how close the Wizards were from getting the number 1 pick, and they got number 8. That's just how does that happen? Just that 4th ping pong ball is you are not the father. You are not the father. You are not the father. You are how?
Whoa! Hey, what's up, Dad?
How am I not the father? I have donated over 1,000 times. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
You know, I don't know if you've been up on your roof anytime recently. Maybe you are or aren't a little bit worried about how long it's been up there unchecked. Maybe even wondering if any of that hail we've seen so far this spring has gotten to your shingles. Well, good news. You don't have to worry about making a whole bunch of calls because with Shamrock Roofing and Construction, one call does it all. Whether you're a homeowner needing an existing roof replaced, a property manager needing a roof replaced or repaired, a commercial property, a facilities manager tired of all the leaks, or an insurance agent needing help with the client, Shamrock Roofing has what it takes from the number 1 team in the game. When you get a new roof, it pays to have that best team you can get. In just one call, and you'll get a brand new roof with the best service and best price from the best hometown team in the business. Or with Shamrock, if you have them out, check it out, and they get up there and see that your roof's still in good shape, they'll tell you. That's what happened to me and my roof. Shamrock came out, they got on the roof, looked around. I even learned some tips as to how to preserve the life of my roof. Plus, they'll help you protect your new roof as well. One call does it all to take you from an estimate to a homeowner celebrating a win with a brand new roof that you can be proud of. All you got to do is make that one call at 913-850-6556 or visit them online at shamrockroofer.com. Shamrock Roofing and Construction, one call does it all.
Hey, it's Jason Anderson. On Thursday, The Zone will be broadcasting. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Jalen Thompson, Kansas City Star, coming up at 11 o'clock. Jeff Montgomery at noon. Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. KSHB 41 Sports Director Mick Schaefer. Text comes in. Says Jason Anderson, a.k.a. Marcus Kemp, good for 1 first down. Which I've always considered myself the Marcus Kemp of local radio. Just kind of, he's there.
Yeah, I'll try to figure out
Do you
who
need
I
him to
am.
fill in? Yeah. Would you want him to be the main guy playing receiver? He'll come through in a pinch.
I think that makes me Cornell Powell? I'm not sure. Is Drake
Yeah.
Brett Veach?
Drake is...
Is Drake Joe Blameyer?
Yeah, who's Drake?
I always think of this guy named Caesar King. Well, several years ago when the Royals were having shortages of catcher, they brought up this guy who had been in the Rangers organization forever. He was on the roster for 3 days, never appeared. It was his only time on a Major League roster. And I always think, boy, that would suck. He's kind of a Moonlight Graham type
I was going to
thing,
say,
but-
now he's a
Very
doctor
much
in Minnesota.
Yeah, but
He's a pediatrician in
but
Minnesota.
I'm probably like a Caesar King guy.
Caesar King. You'd be the jack of all trades. You'd be more David Howard. Like, not one particular set position. You do everything, and you're well-liked by everybody.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, David. And one hell of a golfer. So
That's not
okay,
true.
that's
There.
where so that's where it stops. That's where the connections end up stopping. When we were going through the lottery, text says, too much for my primitive brain. They were saying that about them, and I disagree. I think they're very smart. Another text says, DraftKings update. Let's talk Royals. Made more on the Royals last night than they probably have on ticket sales. Said, put $25 on the Royals to win by 1. That is incredibly too risky for me.
Wow.
That is one hell of a bet.
Who's made of money?
$25 for them. Well done, because I've always said only bet the amount of money you're willing to win.
That's right.
That's what everybody says when it comes to gambling. 1-800-BETS-ON. And apparently he won a pretty decent amount of money from DraftKings. So well done, man. Well done. By the way, did you know that Lebo made a Good Morning Football this morning?
No.
They showed a Todd Lebo, Lebonics Twitter of taking a picture of a Snoop Minnis jersey. And now they're showing highlights of Snoop Minnis of different random jerseys.
Wow.
And they're showing highlights of Snoop Minnis based on...
Yes,
there it is, right
Lebo's
there.
tweet.
Todd Lebo at Lebonics. Good Morning Football, NFL Network. A picture at the parade in February of a Snoop Minnis jersey, which got Kyle Brandt and Peter Schrager doing a segment about somehow Snoop Minnis because of Todd Lebo.
Look at that, Lebo. Good work.
That tweet, by the way, was from February. Not sure how that got to him on
we
May
got
17th.
Got a Matt. Is that a Matt Castle back there? Looks like a Matt Castle. Snoop Minnis is clearly the better jersey.
Is that Matt Castle or is that Carroll?
I thought I was about to bring us an incredible opportunity for you guys to talk about Caesar King next week because I noticed that in the organizations he had played for in the year 2000, he played for the Oklahoma Red Hawks, who I remembered that Les Norman played for based on a tweet that he had a few days back. Someone tweeted a picture of a baseball card of his playing for the Oklahoma Red Hawks. I know about the Oklahoma Red Hawks because I recognize the logo on the hat because I have an Oklahoma Red Hawks hat from some random trip in what I presume was like 2002.
Awesome.
Les was with the Red Hawks in 1998. Caesar King was with the Red Hawks in 2000.
Oh, no.
So you guys at least next week have to try to just see if he's got a story or anything there.
I was going to say, if they cross paths, we were going to have Caesar King on.
Oh, that would have
We
been
were going
awesome.
to interview Caesar King.
I think you still should.
Tex says, Josh is the guy who moves the chains. Not the player, but an actual member of the chain gang. Yeah.
On the sideline. Yeah, that's
Like
good.
that,
I got
yes.
a nice vest.
It's not a possession receiver. He's just the guy that actually is moving the chains. He runs out there with the chains. And
You can
you're
see
the
me
guy
on
that-
TV.
You're the guy that extends it. You
Oh,
know, when everybody's
definitely.
watching, you extend it to put it down, and the
Yeah.
referee looks and it's first down or holds up the two fingers like, oh, it's this close. Really? Is it that close? And if your fingers were a little bit further away, like, does that base the decision on?
That's a great point.
Just say, like, it's fourth down. Okay, that's it. It's fourth down.
So the
is what
chains
it
are
is.
there for. Every
Yeah.
time, though, I am definitely planting the first down marker like Baker Mayfield at the 50. Like, I am spiking that thing.
Beards was the guy that just stood where the drive started and held the stick the whole time. Like, the drive started at the 25. It was a touchback, and now they're down at the 1 yard line over there, and he's still just standing there to see where the drive started. Like, yeah, they started at the 25 right there. Why? Because Beards is holding the the stick.
I think
Drive
I could
starter
do
stick.
the chain moving. I don't think I have the stomach to be the one that actually changes the down marker. Because if you were ever off by one, maybe you'd switch to third down, but that was a penalty, and it should have gone back to
Yeah.
second down or whatever. I can't get yelled at by a referee. I would not make it.
But also, the head referee should be the one that is keeping track of those things. That's why they have the little rubber bands that go on their fingers. So they put it in between their index and their middle finger for first down. Then they flip it to the middle finger and their
What?
ring finger for second down. Yeah, it's 2 fingers.
What?
And they flip it between their pinky and their ring finger, and it's third down. You've never seen them do that?
I didn't know. I have
They have-
seen.
yeah, they have like a black wristband that
I have
has like a
seen
rubber
that.
band thing, and they pull it over the first your index finger because it's first down.
I have seen the band around the finger thing many
It's
times.
for them to keep track of what down it is.
And I don't know why. I know this isn't going to make sense because I know where it actually is, but I always sort of assumed that maybe that was like a whistle thing, like that. But like, no, the whistle's around their neck.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't. I had.
They don't have an
no
umpire.
idea.
They don't have an umpire clicker.
They don't have a clicker. They've got a band. You can buy
got
one
a-
on Amazon.
Yep. See,
What? Wow, that is shocking.
it's shocking that you didn't know it either.
I won't be here on Monday. That's my learned.
And it counts from the weekend because your weekend starts in about 3 hours.
That's exactly right. That is incredible.
For those that didn't know, this is Josh's last day.
Not permanently.
Man,
Well, as far as I know.
he's getting married on Saturday,
That's right.
and then he's heading to Europe for 2 weeks.
That's right.
So
Basically just going where Renee is telling me to go, and so far so good. It's got me this far.
Tex said, if I'm Marcus Kemp, does that make you Chris Lamons?
Oh, did you see the Bengals dropped him off their practice squad,
Yeah.
or did off their roster? Crazy that they didn't actually get him into a game. He will still get a ring, by the way.
I know, but I still feel bad for him.
Oh, me too.
He didn't get to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, jabroni behavior from the Bengals, no doubt.
That sucks, man. Just another reason why. One other point to hate him.
The Tigers never changed their stripes.
Matt Coker here with West Coast Men's Health. In the past 5 years, we've seen thousands of men at our clinics. Most guys tell us the same story, that in their early 50s,
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Briscoe, Drake. We head up until 2 o'clock. We will talk with Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, Valley Sports. Our weekly conversation with Monty coming up at noon. Right now, let's talk with the newest beat writer for the Kansas City Star, covering the Kansas City Royals out in San Diego right now. Jalen Thompson joining us here in the zone. Jalen, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? I'm happy to be on the show.
Yeah, no, we're happy to have you. We were going to have you on a couple of weeks ago, but we figured why have you on before you've actually covered a game? Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
For sure.
We wanted you to get a little acclimated a little bit and get you 2 hours earlier than what it is here in Kansas City. Before we get into some Royals, I guess for people to maybe familiarize themselves with you, what's the story of Jalen Thompson as to now he's covering the Kansas City Royals?
Well, this is my first beat job in my career, and I'm really excited to be here with the Kansas City Star. And I kind of started my journey right out of school. I went to the University of Georgia, and baseball was always something that I always wanted to do. I had an uncle, Warren Newsom, that played in the league. He played with several different teams, mostly like the Texas Rangers, the Chicago White Sox, and things like that. So that I've always been connected to the game, and I played it growing up when I was little, and I just knew that if I could take what I love so much about it and put it into words, then I could have a hit. So that's kind of what got me into to be here.
Do you go by the Deacon, or is it just the uncle? Is it like the little Deacon? Is it nephew Deacon? Is it anything connected to that?
I call him Uncle Warren, but
okay.
Yeah, his nickname is the Deacon, and I love that nickname. I love the story of how he got it too. So it's pretty cool. I always joke with him sometimes, like, "What's up, Deacon? How you doing?"
How did he get the nickname then? I don't know the story. I just know that Bill James loved him, and Hawk with the White Sox. But how did he get the nickname Deacon?
Yeah, I think they actually gave him the nickname. He had such a great plate discipline, and he's one of those guys where he's always upbeat and positive, and he'll give you a nice little message. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's kind of how a combination of all those things came together.
That's awesome. Visiting with Jalen Thompson, the Kansas City Star Royals beat reporter, who was in San Diego with the Royals. We could probably talk about Georgia and the Bulldogs a little bit, and how many national titles Kirby Smart will win, but whatever. That's, just a typical conversation that you probably have. It must suck being a Georgia football fan right now. So, you got that going for you. So, it's whatever.
Yeah, on that, being a Georgia football fan, I have to be honest with you, it doesn't suck at all. I really love it. Because
Thank you for not lying.
there were some lean years in there. I mean, before Kirby got there, 10-2 was the best we could do.
That's lean. 10-2. I tell you what, in college football, 10-2 is lean. Boy, feel like Chiefs fans with Patrick Mahomes. Like, they didn't make the Super Bowl. What the hell, man? That lean year where they didn't make the Super Bowl. Those Mark Richt years of only 10 wins. Darn it.
Yeah, that's right.
We're glad you made it through.
Yeah, no, you made it through. You got through, and you made it to the other side of winning national titles, and good for you. Jalen Thompson is our guest. All right, so let's talk about this Royals team now. They broke the 4-game losing streak, which is nice. They do have a chance today to actually win 2 out of 3 series, which also would be nice. What do you make of Brady Singer's most recent outings? Struggling, maybe took a step back, it looked like, and then last couple of outings he's been able to go out there and get it done, including the Bad News Bears defense behind him last night.
I think Brady is really putting it all together. Last year he had a strong second-half start to the season, and he kind of carried that over into the WBC with Team USA. He's got that experience with him, and I feel like he's really commanding the zone, especially last night with his sinker and slider. Both of those pitches were executed really well. He kind of got the Padres' vaunted lineup with Machado, Tatis, and Bogarts kind of off balance, and he held them down pretty strong for 6 innings. Like you said, the defense was kind of shoddy with a couple of errors that cost him a couple of runs to be on his ledger, but I feel like Brady really is rounding into where he needs to be, and I heard from a lot of people last year kind of started out a little slow as well, but I think the more reps that he's putting in is helping him really stand out and be kind of the front rotation starter that the Royals need right now.
I do wonder, as Brady's, kind of started to figure out these last couple of outings and the improvement and obviously, you not being able to watch him, start by start last year and sort of live through that Royals fans have done. But the last night, to me, what was more impressive about Brady Singer was so often he would have a blow up or a meltdown inning to where it was, he didn't have the maturity on the mound to sort of let things go. Something bad happened and just simply move on to the next batter. And back-to-back innings, he was able to do that. To me, that was that's real growth, from Brady Singer to me, in him being able to do that with his defense letting him down, but still being able to go out there, get the win, and limit the damage in innings where he was able to record 4 outs in a couple of different innings.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I actually asked him that yesterday. If you look back at the first 2 innings, in the first inning he gave up a single, and then he got a double play ball to kind of get out of that threat. And when you're going, like I said, through Machado, you're going through Tatis, and Jake Cronenworth batted second that inning as well, and you get a double play to really settle in. He said that was huge for him as he, kind of got into the game. And then in the second inning, after the 5-run rally that the Royals had, he got another double play to get out of the jam. So I think that those things kind of helped them really pitch with a lead, and I think that's what the Royals have to do for Brady. And pretty much almost all of their starters right now is give them a little lead, give them a little confidence, and know that you can have an advantage while you're on the mound and you're settling into your start.
What do you make of the defense that was played last night and maybe Quattro's reaction to some of the plays there? I know that Rex talked about it and even Quatraro talked about it, the ball snaking on MJ and sort of skipping to the right. That was an odd-looking ball in the outfield. And Nate Eaton's poor decision when you're up 3, Edward Olivares and Garcia in left field in foul territory. What did you make of the defense that was played and what Quatraro thought as to they found a way to win the game, first and foremost, so that's good. But, man, that stuff has to be cleaned up.
Yeah, it definitely does have to be cleaned up. And just through the 10 games that I've watched so far, it kind of seems like a lot of guys they know what the right play needs to be made, but sometimes when you're on a baseball field, you can think too much, and you try to almost overdo it a little bit. Like you mentioned the Nate Eaton play in center field where he went for a dive where he probably could just let the ball drop in. It would hit so hard on the line. If he would have done that, you could have probably contained and prevent a double from happening right there. I think with the Melendez play in right field, Quatraro said the ball skipped on him, but I believe that it's one of those things where when it's coming that fast off the bat, instead of kind of like charging it a little bit, maybe you just, judge where it is and, pick it up and throw it in. But I think those things can get cleaned up. The defense, it's a young team. They're going to have growing pains. They're going to have mistakes. So it's just one of those things where you got to keep working at it. So I think he can get better as time goes on.
Visiting with Jalen Thompson, Kansas City Star's newest Royals beat reporter there in San Diego. Final game of this 3-game set with the Padres and an opportunity to win the series. Yu Darvish is on the mound today for San Diego for the Padres against Carlos Hernandez. Jackson Kowar has been called up for Max Castillo. Is this a move that is long-term, you think, or is this short-term to have somebody available in the bullpen because maybe they feel like Max Castillo has been overworked the last few outings to let him go down to at least somebody to go down to AAA to make room on the roster if it's the guy that's, you don't really want to throw for the next 2-3 days to have somebody up just in case? Is this a short stint for Kowar to give Castillo rest, or do they feel like Kowar, can stay and fill that role?
Well, when I talked with Q, he told me that basically Kowar is coming up to, give them an extra arm in the bullpen. Like Max Castillo, he pitched 80 pitches, and then 3 days later he pitched another, I believe, 42 or 43 pitches. And he really saved the bullpen when they had kind of these short starts. So him going down because he had options allowed him to get a few days of rest and, give him some time to get regroup a little bit after working so much. So I think Kowar coming up, and he has a new role out of the bullpen now where he's able to come in as a kind of like a long relief arm if they need him to. I don't know if he's going to play today. They have Carlos Hernandez on the mound. He might operate for a few innings. So we'll see if he's a part of that piggyback group that's going to be in the face of the Padres tonight. But, this move was done to give them another arm in the pen.
If you're guessing the next go-around where it would be this spot in the rotation, is that Daniel Lynch, since he's going today for in the minors in another rehab start, that they're giving him at least one more, that they didn't call him up today to pitch against the Padres and bring him back up into the rotation? Do you think this may be the last rehab start for Daniel Lynch and then next go-around in 5 games, I guess with an off day mixed in there? But regardless, the next time this spot in the order comes up, do you think that's Daniel Lynch?
It's unclear from what I'm hearing from the team perspective about when they're going to bring up Daniel Lynch. But I believe that he's kind of close, and depending on how he does in this start, I wouldn't be surprised if they do maybe make that move.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've asked, I've always wanted to know when there's a spot in the rotation, are they going to do bullpen or are they going to bring up a starter? And the last couple of times that this happened, they kind of have evaluated the situation. So I think that if Lynch does well, he might be a candidate to be called up sooner rather than later.
Jalen Thompson is our guest, Royals beat reporter. He is there in San Diego with the Royals. Game 3 of that series coming up today. Jalen, appreciate the time, man. Thank you so much for joining us, and congrats on the gig, and looking forward to conversing with you about the Royals in your time here in Kansas City. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully I'll be able to come back on again and talk more Royals. So,
absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Absolutely,
man. Appreciate that. There's Jalen Thompson, Georgia Bulldog, and nephew to the Deacon, Warren Newsom, joining us here as Kansas City Star Royals beat reporter in San Diego as Game 3 of the series tonight, the rubber match there. So appreciate Jalen joining us and get to know him a little bit as he'll be writing about the Kansas City Royals and writing about Brad Keller's up and down, fast and slow, season this year, the defense that's there for the Royals or not there, and then Jackson Kowar coming up. The Kowar move is fascinating to me.
It really is.
Because you want to talk about a star that has just fallen. I mean, he was dominant in the minor leagues. He was almost unhittable. He was striking dudes out at an extreme clip. He wasn't walking anybody. And then he finally gets the call up, and it's just been disaster meltdown since then. Not even really a stretch of consistent where, hey, you know what, he's kind of figuring this out. It's been like, oh, hey, he had a really good outing, and he sucks the last couple. Because they bring him up, and if you didn't know, I mean, he's thrown 20 innings in AAA this year with a 7.8 ERA and a whip over 2. He's got 25 strikeouts and 19 walks. He isn't the Jackson Kowar of a couple of years ago when it was, this guy is unhittable, it's time to bring him up. He can't prove anything else. He has been a shell of that guy. I don't know what happened. If it's between the ears, if he just lost it. Was he a 4A player that's now a 3A player? Where it's like he can dominate AA, probably not good enough for the majors. Maybe, up and down in AAA, still living off the prospect name and how good he was at one point. Because Max Castillo was fine. He had too many walks. But Castillo had, almost 10 innings pitched and 3 earned runs. Now, as Jalen mentioned there, he had an outing where he threw 80 pitches, then an outing where he threw 40-some-odd pitches. I'm going to guess that Kowar has a short stint with the Royals. I'm going to guess that he should not buy green bananas wherever he's going to be, whether in a hotel or here in KC, because this feels like, hey, you need somebody for long relief in case. What if Castillo gets, or Carlos Hernandez gets hit around in the first or second inning? Well, Jackson, that's what you're here for, because that's what Max Castillo was here for. We're not going to throw Castillo for a couple, 3 days to let that arm rest. Well, we're not going to do that and just have him sit on the bench and take up a spot. All right, well, Max, we'll send you down. You probably don't actually have to go to Omaha, but we're going to send you down, air quotes. We're going to call up Jackson, who is going to come with the Royals, and then for 2 or 3 days, he's going to be ready to go in long relief, and then he will head back to Omaha. That's what this feels like, not a, hey, Kowar's figured it out. Here we go. Let's go, Kowar. No, No. He's moved to long relief for a reason. He hasn't moved to, well, they're starting him. He hasn't moved to, this guy's back in the bullpen. He's dominant, 8th, 9th inning guy. No, we need you to throw 4 innings just to get through this because the guy who was out there got shelled. Save us so we don't kill the bullpen. You're the sacrificial lamb. And it sucks that that's sort of what his career has become.
That's the disheartening part, is that Jackson Kowar and Max Castillo's name in the same roster move graphic is not weighted one way or the other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes.
There is no differentiation. If anything, it's a guy who you used to have some hope for, and a guy, oh yeah, he did a job.
It's not Franmil Reyes DFA'd for Michael Garcia to be called up.
That's right. That's right.
It's two ships passing in the night that are essentially the same thing.
And some part of me feels like, so it's too soon to just be out on Jackson Kowar. What evidence do I have for that to being true, right? I mean, and hey, if you are sailing through the skies looking for a silver lining in that cloud, maybe say, hey, you know what? If he's ever going to prove that there's a little more there, he's probably going to need to do it at the major league level. He'll get some opportunities to throw some baseballs into somebody's lineup at some point.
Low leverage situations.
Sure. So maybe if you do see a spark out of Jackson Kowar, it's going to catch your eye more than seeing a spark out of Max Castillo. But you just can't be very optimistic that spark's going to be there.
Maybe there are other examples of somebody who was just unhittable and incredibly dominant in the minors and in AAA, and then finally got the call up because he was ready, and then just melted down at the big league level, and now can't even do it back where he was incredibly dominant.
Yeah.
AAA. I mean, Hank Keel sort of lost it, but he was good until he lost it. Like in the big leagues, he was still a dominant pitcher, and then all of a sudden on the biggest stage in the World Series, he lost it, and it was done at that point. And then he became a position player. Kowar didn't have it in the big leagues. He didn't come up and then show that there was what he was doing in the minors. And now he doesn't have it where he was like 30 Ks and 2 walks. Now he's 25 strikeouts and 19 walks. 19 walks in 20 innings. I mean, it's just, maybe there are other examples of that, but I don't remember it, certainly from a Royals perspective, that a lot of people felt like the 4 guys, Kowar might be the best of the bunch.
Yep. I'm looking at the draft class
and he's
right
the
now.
worst of the bunch.
It's kind of sad. Not that there's a ton of like total world beaters at this point from other spots in this draft class. That's sort of how the baseball draft typically works.
Yeah.
But Singer at 18 feels like fine. Like, hey, you know what? He is a starting pitcher in the major leagues.
He's been the best of the 4.
And we'll see where he ends up after that. Then Kowar and Lynch going back to back. You have one guy who is he has now graduated or been demoted, I suppose, to bullpen innings eater. And then we're just talking about Daniel Lynch. Like, there's a little bit of optimism, a little bit of excitement there.
Lynch has at least shown it in starts that wow, this guy had some really good stuff. This guy had,
it's exciting.
This is a starter in Major League Baseball stuff and an outing. Okay, so you can see that. Can he be consistent? Can he put it all together, etc.? At least you've seen glimpses of that. And the same thing with Bubic. There haven't been big league glimpses from Jackson Kowar.
Clear if not. It's been big league disasters.
Yes, and now it's turning into minor league disasters. And I think the reason he's with the Royals is because his name is Jackson Kowar. I think if it was anybody else, they wouldn't be calling him up to have long relief based on 20 innings and 19 walks and an 8 ERA at AAA.
I'd love to also make an argument for like, hey, new pitching coaching staff at the major league level.
Maybe.
But again, I am making arguments I do not believe in at that point.
It is unfortunate, disappointing. Maybe it'll click.
I'll tell you what. Here's
awesome
what it is.
If it did.
It'd be great.
And
it'll be more interesting to watch Kowar jogging in from the bullpen than to watch Castillo or whoever else it may be, because you're gonna have a reason to watch.
Yeah.
You have some investment in that guy.
And it is totally based on Royals fandom of knowing so much about the minor leagues.
Correct.
Because the big leagues was always disappointing, and it was always about who the next guy was, and this guy's going to be the savior. So we've paid for so long so much attention and studied and watched and kept up with the minor leagues that because Max Castillo wasn't a name we've talked about for 3 years, Jackson Kowar is a more entertainment-worthy or attention-worthy player to watch as opposed to Castillo, who came in and threw 4 innings in relief against the Brewers and gave up a run in almost 5 innings of work, where I'd like to see Kowar throw almost 5 innings of work and give up 1 run. That would be great. Castillo is a more successful pitcher than
He's also
Kowar.
2 years younger.
Yeah.
Jackson Kowar's 26. Max Castillo's 24.
But he does wear a 12-year-old's glove, does Max Castillo. You'll never not see it now. Next time
No,
Max
that's
Castillo comes
totally
in the game, he's wearing his son's baseball glove. I don't even know if he has kids, but he is wearing his son's baseball glove.
He has taken this glove from a child somewhere.
Yeah. Like when you see like coaches that are out warming up Little League games and there's a coach that's like has an extra glove that's catching for the guy who's using the fungo bat to hit infield. Like, no, throw it back to the coach. And he's got like one of the kids' gloves on, right? And he's catching it. That's what Castillo looks like when he's out there on the mound. I don't know why, but it is so weird. It just looks like he's wearing a child's T-ball glove.
He's not quite on that Frank White grind, but it's special. For modern baseball.
Yes.
You'll see some
Yeah.
butterfly nets out there, especially outfilders now.
And plus, you got the 2 fingers in the what would be the pinky hole with the outfielders. How they wear the gloves, so you see the wrist sticking out even more than typical. Like that's
like
when you
an
know
oar.
somebody's like an outfielder and they've been an outfielder a while. Can you actually use like your index, your middle finger, and your thumb
It's barely on your fingertips.
as the only ones to squeeze the
Right.
glove because the glove is now halfway down your palm to give you that extra 2 or 3 inches to be able to jump up and catch the ball. That's when you know like that guy's been a major league outfielder for a while. He wears the glove like an outfielder does.
It hurts to catch a ball in your glove, right on your palm. Solution? Don't let your glove cover your palm.
Catch it right on the knuckles.
Every time.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
The NFL schedule is out, and the reigning champion Kansas City Chiefs have some big-time home games this season. Lock in your seats today at TicketsForLess.com, your home for the best selection of tickets without the outrageous fees. Tickets for Less is also home to the best parking and VIP tailgate options, and you'll save even more when you use the new cart feature at TicketsForLess.com to get all 3 in a single order. When you need tickets, think Tickets for Less.
So you're looking to unwind after a long day or celebrate with...
Why is Todd bothering us? We're trying to do a show,
Can we do a
man.
show, please, Todd?
Does he not know that we're done at 2? He can talk to me at 2 o'clock all he wants for 40 minutes before I go pick up Little Miss Princess.
He always, is that what you call me? He always comes in like 40 seconds left in the break. Come on, Lebo. It's a radio
Ridiculous.
show. First day?
No, we were talking about what tomorrow's press conference is going to be about when there's 3 levels of government. You got county, you got mayor, you got 2 governors, you got other dignitaries, you got owners of Sporting and the Chiefs. You got a lot of people involved in this press conference tomorrow at 11 o'clock and not really knowing what it's going to be about. And I just asked, this is going to be about the Coyotes moving to Kansas City.
Bring him home!
They just knew that Prop 301, 302, and 303 were going to be voted down in Tempe. That now Clark Hunt and the Illigs are going to weigh in on this combined ownership group to bring the Coyotes to Kansas City. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be about. Obviously, it has World Cup-related conversations to it. So there's going to be a rendering of the renovations that have to be done to Arrowhead Stadium. Are they going to announce maybe dates? I'd love to know which countries are going to use Kansas City as their home city during the World Cup. I might be biased in that the reality of this being the soccer capital of the world, regardless of what 3.5 hours to the east.
We got to start saying soccer capital of America. It's America, right?
Sorry, I meant America.
I do this all the time, also, and I just want to. I don't want.
You are right.
I don't want all these Barcelonians that I'm going to run into here in a couple of weeks.
It's not soccer capital
of America.
Soccer
Bleep,
capital
yeah, it is.
Soccer capital of America. Soccer capital of the country. It is, regardless of what St. Louis thinks. It's closer to soccer capital of the world than St. Louis is.
You guys, you guys over there, you're giant paperclip capital of America.
Yeah, but it's cool that they can go right through that gateway to watch a World Cup game here in Kansas City if they want to.
Exactly, just 3.5 hours to the gateway.
Drive right through that gateway to the soccer capital of the country in Kansas City. Regardless of all of that, I would guess that Kansas City would be, again, maybe I'm biased. I would guess Kansas City would be a destination that would be pretty popular, middle of the country. Phenomenal facilities with Sporting KC that they can use, state-of-the-art stuff.
Yeah,
and there will be games played at Arrowhead, so there's a chance you wouldn't even have to travel to play one of your World Cup games if you have Kansas City as one of the host or your home cities. I would guess that there would be teams that would, the teams that are on the Chiefs' schedule that are heading to Arrowhead that would be lining up to volunteer as tribute to go overseas to play the Chiefs instead of at Arrowhead. I guarantee you the Miami Dolphins were like, we will love to go. You want us to go? Yes, we will go. We will line up. We'll do whatever it takes. We'll pay for their flight. It doesn't matter. We will go to Germany to play the Chiefs because you know what? They probably wanted to avoid the entire week of the Tyreek Hill. They don't give a bleep about Tyreek Hill returning to Arrowhead, but that's all they would have been asked about all week long. So they can avoid that, and they don't have to go to Arrowhead to play. So there's probably every single the 9 opponents the Chiefs were going to play at home were volunteering to go to Germany. It might not be that, but I would have to imagine, like if your home city is in New York, now all of a sudden there's a game in L.A.
Yeah,
as opposed to Kansas City. There are games in Kansas City. And you've cut the travel in half from north to the south to the east to the west.
I'm doing some very American football-centric thinking here, so I'm acknowledging that on the front end because the World Cup is bigger than the NFL's international marketing regions.
Yeah, regardless of Germany and London for the NFL.
But Clark Hunt is pretty high up in the entire NFL power structure, and Arrowhead, and in the Chiefs in particular, one of their regions of being able to market, one of the first ones, was Germany. It's why this is their quote-unquote home game internationally.
That's a good point.
I wonder if there is any sort of extra relationship there between Germany and Kansas City, with that potentially being kind of the first mover on it. Having German games in Kansas City would be outrageous.
Huge brand.
And that is also why I am not like necessarily putting my foot down and saying, here's my prediction, because that would be massive. Also, color scheme would be right there ready for Arrowhead. It's just a little different shade of black, gold, and red, black, and gold. I mean, this is an easy one. But I am asking, not as an expert in this moment, but as a genuine question asker of, is there any way that relationship may have been just able to kind of grease those wheels for there to be some Kansas City Hunt family, German sports sort of crossover? It might be totally fabricated, but I don't know, something to throw out there.
There are three things that we're waiting for to get the hype and to start to get the juices flowing of, after they, it was announced that Kansas City is a World Cup city. After that, then there's three things to be decided that would come out. Dates that games will be played.
Mm-hmm.
Which country or countries will have Kansas City as their home city, and then the matchups in those dates. Those are the three things. I don't know that one of those three things will happen tomorrow at this particular press conference, but it is interesting that nobody really knows what's happening. I shouldn't say nobody. I'm assuming the people that will be talking tomorrow are going to know what it's about. It would be a shock if they showed up and was like, hey, door number 1, 2, or 3. Actually, we're just talking about the Royals heading downtown. Yeah. And John Sherman isn't even here.
It would be weird.
Which, as an aside, wouldn't the Royals be a part of this in some way, shape, or form? I mean, they ain't playing home games on the dates that the World Cup's being played at Arrowhead. We're talking about them moving their game for the Chiefs to play Thursday Night Football.
That's a good point.
But we'll know the dates before the MLB releases that schedule.
That's true, too. That will be the entire all of Major League Baseball will have to work around that. There's going to be a lot of major league cities will be hosting games.
But it's also something else that the Royals are working around that has to do with Arrowhead and the Chiefs. It's surprising that the two sides would like to amicably split irreconcilable differences. Let's just go to mediator and we will just call it a day. Joint custody, alimony, child support, all of that will be figured out. We don't have to go to court. Let's just go ahead and split, go our separate ways. The Royals would like to be single and go and view different things in life.
They're ready to see other locations.
And Arrowhead would like to build again. Would like to just start over their life in sort of the same thing with the kids and just simply grow and move to the next chapter of their life single. And the Royals are ready to party.
And the Royals are ready. Please, hey, come on over, everybody.
Let's go, man.
We are downtown and down to clown.
We're moving from the suburbs to downtown because that's where the action is. Nightlife, baby. Dude, you're 45.
You also just lost 95 games again.
Should you just buy a Corvette? No, why not?
Bought a stadium.
you just buy an entire entertainment district?
It does. I'm
Did
thinking
you just buy taxpayer dollars?
We're obviously. Why couldn't you just get taxpayer money like the rest of us billionaires? I am interested to continue as this. Obviously, we're only going to have years and years and years to continue unpacking this one. So I think it's important we rush it in here now. But like the as we talked about last week with Lebo, the concert schedule ramping up for Arrowhead, and now obviously the World Cup in 26. It is making more and more sense to me for as the Royals move and build the entire district that. If the Chiefs move, if Arrowhead moves, the location of Arrowhead moves, it feels like that might be measurable in feet.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And not miles.
Might just move to where Kaufman is right now.
And that part will be an interesting bridge to cross that I will hopefully, we'll just defer to.
It'd be the same bridge
No bridge is actually a great point.
It's George Brett Bridge.
But
Would it still be George Brett Bridge?
Wow. Hey, Patrick Mahomes Bridge. Here we go. George, you get some area in the downtown now. Congratulations.
Do they actually just take that bridge and just all of and just move it?
You know what they should do? They should burn it. The Royals should burn that bridge. Bleep those guys. We're going to build a new, cooler George Brett Bridge down here somewhere. We're burning bridges on our way out.
I would say the TV deal, not spending money, wanting $1 billion, kind of burning some bridges.
I'm telling you, that's the path they're on.
And that Denny's right there did burn down.
Whoa, good point. Oh, man, maybe the Royals are trying to burn bridges, and instead they burnt Denny's.
It was just on their way to...
Did we ever get a reason for why that Denny's burnt down? Has anyone ever followed up on that story? Let's call Jalen back. I got a beat story for him. I didn't get to the bottom of the Denny's thing.
What happened to Denny's? Well, turns out there were no Grand Slams being allowed anywhere near the stadium.
Bang! We're on fire, just like that Denny's.
But nobody was hurt in that, right?
That's a good point. Good question. Not that I saw. I would not make jokes about it if anyone was hurt.
Yeah, I would like to go back in time and know the details of that before.
All right, where's
the road of being dumb?
Story from earlier in the month.
I still say you move the entire George Brett Bridge just
I think that's a good
downtown
idea.
somewhere, and you actually have to drive over that just to make parking even more difficult for people. That's the only way in or out. It's like a moat to get to Kaufman, the only way, or whatever they're going to call it downtown. Only thing in and out is on that one bridge. That's it. It's it. Just got like a raises and lowers.
There's a lot of sort of sad quotes in this story about the people who worked at the Denny's being very sad that the Denny's burnt down, and
that's too bad.
That definitely is a bummer.
I apologize on behalf of Josh.
Yeah, no, and I apologize on behalf of Jason.
Yeah, and we both apologize on behalf of Drake.
I don't apologize on behalf of Drake. He said some heinous things.
Oh.
But I don't, nothing about, anyone personally being endangered. Hopefully everyone's doing well.
The Celtics and Moons over Miami are playing tonight. So it's to get away from whatever the mortars are that we are trying to navigate.
Yeah, this segment's been kind of a grease fire. God! I did it again.
Mm-hmm. My brother said I-70 near downtown is George Brett Superhighway. Done. There it is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Just take that bridge and move it.
Yeah. Still got to move it or burn it.
Yeah.
Cannot stay there though.
Right.
Gotta build a Patrick Mahomes bridge.
Just cut each side of that, with like a saw or something or a butter knife, whatever you use to.
Just
to
YBE Coyote. This is easy. I've seen him saw bridges before.
Absolutely. And put like a screen up there.
Oh, paint over.
That it looks like, and then you
it.
just go right through it and fall down on I-70. That'd be so great. It'd
Hilarious.
Hilarity.
We will not make jokes about people getting injured, but that would be so funny.
Hilarity ensued. And then you move that thing downtown. And then you bring in the Phoenix Coyotes, who are owned by Weil Eric Coyote.
Shockingly, that's all true.
Weil E. Coyote owns the Phoenix Coyotes. People didn't realize this.
They are also now the Arizona Coyotes. I forgive you for not knowing that. That was several years ago, and no one bothered to learn because who cares?
They're the Arizona Coyotes?
They've been the Arizona Coyotes for a few years now, and I don't know that I've seen anyone properly refer to them.
I'm going to table this discussion for Saturday morning so I can use that as my Learn Funniest Best on Monday. That I learned that after Prop 301, 302, and 303, I learned more about the propositions of the $2.1 billion proposal to build a brand new arena district in what is a landfill right now that will be privately funded. That was still voted down.
They do not care about hockey.
On privately funded money. The Royals are going to ask for like $1 billion.
Yeah.
The Coyotes were like, hey, can we get some tax breaks on the land? We're going to front the $2.1 billion for the entire district to turn a landfill into an entertainment district. And Tempe was like, nah, we're good. We like that landfill out there.
Here's the thing. Phoenix Coyotes, bad to say. Arizona Coyotes, no alliteration at all. Tempe Coyotes, that sucks. Kansas City Coyotes? Ooh, that sounds kind of nice. Little KC Coyotes? Little KCC?
I like the Scouts.
I do too.
I think we'll go back to the Scouts.
I'm open to either of those.
Yeah.
But as long as the first part of the name is Kansas City, I'll figure out the rest later.
I read so we can get more into this as we go to break, but I as a quick aside, I was reading a story last night about different cities, and one of them was like, well, why would Kansas City not work? And it was like, well, Kansas City already had a soccer or an NHL team, back in the 70s and the Scouts,
years
and
ago.
it didn't work out. But here's the part of the story that they just glossed over, and it was like, and the Scouts went to Denver for a couple of years, and now they're the New Jersey Devils. You're glossing over the fact that Denver had an NHL team for a couple of years, and then they got another one. I mean, so. They are the Colorado Avalanche. So it's like, well, Kansas City may not work because they've had one and lost it. And that team went to Denver for 2 years where they had one and lost it. And it's now the New Jersey Devils, and people don't realize that.
It's like Colorado never had another team. Yeah, exactly.
Remind me, is there a team in Colorado? Like, I don't know. It doesn't mean that now the Kansas City is the most likely destination. It's going to go to Houston if the Coyotes move. But it is sort of interesting, like, kind of glossing over a city in the middle there that also had an NHL and lost an NHL team and then got one later on. That's pretty good. That Shane is like, hey, don't talk about the Avalanche.
I also just learned
Avalanche.
that the team in the middle there between the Scouts and the Devils was the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. And then they took those same NHL players and became a baseball team.
That is why they actually did get the Avs later on, because if you're able to take one team and just transform them to another sports franchise, you get the other one. So maybe What if the Royals have some height, right? What if we just see if the Royals can play basketball? Pasquatch, power forward.
Well, people always say the NBA doesn't play defense.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WH.
913-912-4810. Text says, Royals call up Kowar. It's a batting practice pitcher. Yeah. Text says, if this is a divorce, the Chiefs are the hot soccer mom, the Royals are the fat, balding 45-year-old man who's ready to party.
He's ready to go downtown. He's ready. He'll see you at PBR.
He's single, ready to mingle, and he's all over the online dating apps. And the mom is just going to the grocery store and getting asked out on dates, and just living her life. And it's just like, oh, sure, yeah, I guess I'm really not ready to get out there. And the dad's like, I'll do it. Come on, I'm ready to get out there. Let's go. And then realizes quickly, like, oh, this sucks. I remembered it being like college.
This is a really good metaphor, and I'm having trouble advancing it any further because, man, it seems about right. Like he is on the apps, like going, I just think the apps are broken, guys. I don't know. Like I haven't really gotten many. Hey, Mitch, let's see my pics at. This is not a real website, right? I'm gonna click it anyway. Like, I'm afraid that the Royals are catfishing us. That's my concern.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I'm afraid that the Royals are catfishing Kansas City.
There are people that feel like John Sherman is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit overstated just before, before this gets aggregated.
We've got a loyal listener that texts in all the time, and I don't get to read his texts very often on the air. I always read them off the air.
Are they deeply profane?
No, they're longer texts, and his or her frustration with John Sherman. And, compares the, look, Dayton Moore is now down in Texas, and look what the Rangers are doing, and this and that. And
hey, that's what the Royals are doing now. Dayton Moore. Can't believe that took us an hour. Dang it. That was right there the whole time.
Really well done.
My God.
We really haven't gotten that conversation about, money being spent. Like Dayton's not going down there and then spending. He's advising, but there's a lot of money being spent down around the Rangers, which then could lead into, okay, so they've got the new entertainment district that they own, that Quarters then pays them money to have restaurants and things there, but they own that particular district, and they make revenue that is not shared revenue extra, which then has allowed them to pay for some players to go out and spend, which is what the Royals want to do in an entertainment district. They have revenue sharing added income with that, and saying they would invest back in the ball club, but we'll see. There's a lot of different angles to this whole thing, but I mean, I wonder what the city's reaction would be if the ownership group said, this thing's going to cost like $2 billion and it's going to be privately funded. We just need the land.
Yep.
And we'll take and we need tax breaks on the land. I mean,
easy.
What would there might be some pushback from nostalgia.
Sure.
And going out to Kauffman, because there is that. And
people worried about parking and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, there was nostalgia for me when they put in the seats in the outfield. And it's like, no, like the fountains, that's beautiful. Mm. You got the green grass around it. I don't have a reference of how far that home run was hit if it lands in seats as opposed to up the hill. I need to know how far Dean Palmer hit that home run. I know when he hit at the top of the hill. Now, if it lands in the seat, I don't know. Was that at the top of the hill, middle of the hill? Was it bottom? I don't know. I don't have that reference anymore. This is BS. Why are we taking GA away? That was my childhood. Waiting in line to get general admission, then running down to get first or second row. And sitting there in right field with the sun burning down on you, forgetting the sunscreen, and going home with a red face and red arms and, some food in your belly.
They cost like $2.
Yeah, when Frankfurt's cost a nickel. Back in the day. Why are you taking that away from me? Yeah, I mean, I had that nostalgia too with that. But, economics of baseball, anything that will help this Royals team, win. Anything that can help them do that, whether that's added money or whatever. And I think, I like the downtown baseball stuff, but that's just me personally. But that's not the point about, what's going on in terms of this ownership group that's saying, it's 2.1 privately funded. Like, we're not asking you to fund this thing.
Yeah.
We just don't want to be playing in a 5,000-seat arena anymore on the campus of Arizona State. Like, we're an NHL team.
Barely, but technically.
I
almost wore my Coyotes jersey in today. I wish I would have. My sweater.
Which, by the way, speaking of Arrowhead, the name of the Coyotes arena is Mullet Arena. So.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that'd be perfect tie-in there.
That's great. That's easy.
That's perfect tie-in.
Bring them home for real, actually.
Yes.
Really, it's Camaro Head.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Strange.
They play in Mullet Arena. It's amazing, But it is also amazing that you've got an NHL team that's been playing the last couple of years that also got evicted from their arena in Glendale and is playing in a college hockey / basketball, 5,000 seat arena.
And not that many people noticed.
Even in the city. Because they haven't made the playoffs. Like, hockey over basketball, NHL over NBA. Man, in the NBA, Patrick Mahomes ain't staying in Kansas City. Max contract or not. NHL's got the different structure to where, look what happened with the Las Vegas, the Golden Knights, the Predators down in Nashville. I mean, you've got almost immediate success with some of those teams. NBA, you ain't the Lakers, you ain't the Celtics or the Heat.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Patrick Mahomes, quarterback from Texas Tech, will be the selection for the Kansas City Chiefs.
With the 10th pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes, the second.
Zero's on the clock. It's over. It's over. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won Super Bowl 57.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We're here with Brad McGee from LBA Home Services. I see you're wearing a hard hat.
Yes, I am.
In the shower?
Very perceptive.
So is there a point you're trying to make?
This shower, the water's hot, draining well. So is this acceptable?
Looks okay to me.
Okay is not good enough. Remember, I work at LBA Home Services, and perfect is our minimum standard.
But isn't this shower perfect?
Not even close. This is hard water.
Explains the hard hat.
What's the point of having a nice hot shower if your water's so hard you never get clean?
So what do you...
Install a water softener system that's designed for KC's hard water. Cleaner clothes, less soap needed, pipes and fixtures last longer.
In a word,
perfect. Everyone at LBA thinks this way. Your water is either perfect or it's not, and your family deserves...
perfect.
That's it exactly.
And the hard hat?
You keep it.
One simple idea, one name to remember.
Just remember LBA.
LBAservices.com.
Hey guys, Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health to let you know that you don't have to take Viagra for the rest of your life. Acoustic wave therapy has changed the game. Trust me, I've seen guys come in who have completely given up, only to see them back in the game after going through our treatment program. So call West Coast Men's Health today.
Call 913-243-3200. That's 913-243-3200. 913-243-3200. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Hello, Kansas City. Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing here. Do you have your furnace inspected each year? Probably so. Do you have your roof looked at every year? No? Call us today for a free roof checkup. If we find an issue, we will write you a proposal right there on the spot. If your roof is all good, we'll leave you with the peace of mind knowing the best roofing professionals in Kansas City said you're all set. Inspections are always free and suggestions are built on integrity. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
WHB Kansas City.
Golfers tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Edwin Watts offers the best selection and the latest in golf equipment, apparel, and accessories. Swing by Edwin Watts in Overland Park today to elevate your game.
The second you walk through those iconic red doors, you know you're somewhere special. Fresh cut wood burning in the wood-fired grill and the sizzle of scratch kitchen ingredients fills your senses. Whether you want legendary pretzel bites, famous jalapeno fried chicken, or to grab a burger and beer while you watch the game, there's an unforgettable energy that keeps you coming back to Red Door Wood-Fired Grill, Kansas City's best little upscale neighborhood joint. 6 Kansas City area locations: Brookside, Leawood, Liberty, Overland Park, Lenexa, and now Lee Summit. Get in here.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
The area's #1 GM dealer is Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. But being #1 is not about them, it's all about the customers. You receive a 90-day money-back guarantee on every new Buick and GMC. You receive an incredible selection of over 200 vehicles, including new GMC Yukons, Sierra HDs, and the new redesigned Canyon. And you receive the best prices with up to $8,000 off new GMC Sierras or up to $4,500 off new Buicks. Visit Robert Brogdon.
Dispensary. Check out Greenlight Dispensary for their outstanding customer service and superior product, and discover why Greenlight is continuously voted Missouri's best. Open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. For more information and to find a location near you, visit them online at greenlightdispensary.com. Despite some errors on the base paths for both teams, the Royals got the win over the San Diego Padres last night, 5-4, with a solid start for Brady Singer. Got through 6 innings with just 2 earned runs. Meanwhile, the lineup gave the Royals enough with that 5-run second inning. Later, I want to ask Jason if he knows who led off that 5-run second inning. That's a conversation from earlier in the week in the Zone. Also, Kansas State has officially... Jason, save it till the show, man. K-State's officially announced their new contract with Chris Kleiman, worth $44 million over the next 8 seasons. We'll go back to baseball with Jeff Montgomery of Valley Sports next in the Zone.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Josh Briscoe, Drake heading up until 2 o'clock. Let's talk some Royals baseball. Jeff Montgomery, Valley Sports Royals Hall of Famer, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City, ffbkc.com. Monty, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
Oh, Jason, this up and down just continues. Last time we talked, I think we'd won 4 out of 5, and now we've lost 4 out of 5. However, coming off that win last night.
But you know what? They broke that 4-game losing streak. But maybe for you, have you been able to get out on the course there in San Diego in some nice weather the last couple of days?
You know, I've been between the hotel and the ballpark. They are almost adjacent to each other, essentially across the street. But I've not ventured out much other than just a couple little taco shops.
That's unfortunate. It's San Diego, Monty. Come on. What's the deal?
Well, it's been cloudy and 60 degrees. It hasn't been typical San Diego.
Well, so you're not missing anything with being cloudy and 60, 70 degrees here. So, it's the same thing. You're supposed to get better weather when you go out there. Come on. Jamie Bloom has got a hole-in-one. I mean, I figured you'd be out there just swinging the Richens constantly until you get your next hole-in-one.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Got an off day tomorrow. Probably going to hit the link. So we'll see how that goes. Fantastic.
Hopefully that off day tomorrow is the Royals taking the series today with the Padres. They win last night. So the defense for the Royals, was it a rough night last night, or has it regressed? It seemed like it started off rough. Then it started, they started playing some pretty darn good defense behind the pitchers, and then last night was rough. Is it regressing back to what it was earlier this season? And sort of what are you seeing from the guys behind the pitchers?
Well, I haven't noticed a ton of poor defense. We've had a couple games on the stretch that's been poor defense. And in fact, last night it started out pretty nice. Bobby Witt Jr. made a really nice play going, out into the center field the way he does so well. But then situations present themselves where you have to make a play, you don't. You end up giving a team more than 3 outs in an inning, and they capitalize on it, and the 5-0 lead evaporates, so now you're playing with a 1-run lead. So defense is so important, especially a team like the Royals that has such a small margin for error. So I can't say that I can see a dramatic decrease in the defensive ability, but certainly a few flare-ups here and there, and you can't afford those.
Is Bobby Witt the best center fielder on the team? Maybe he and Jackie Bradley Jr. I love the line from Ryan last night that said, I can't remember who it was, that came up to bat after Bobby Witt Jr. had tracked down the ball, said, and he flew out to center field to Bobby Witt, which was a great line. I mean, he's amazing at tracking the ball, especially when he's running backwards, unlike anything I may have ever seen.
Well, some players just have knacks for certain type plays, and I remember going back during the COVID year when they had the alternate site games at Kauffman Stadium. We're doing our TV broadcast when the team was on the road, and the alternate site guys were coming over to Kauffman and playing. And first time I'd ever seen Bobby Witt Jr. play, and he's playing shortstop, and they had certain positions they didn't have enough players for. But anyway, they didn't have a left fielder in this particular game, and there was a fly ball hit the left field, and Bobby Witt's playing shortstop, and he runs back like a Tyreek Hill catch, over the shoulders, and he went a long way to make a play. And I'm thinking that is a truly amazing play, especially the fact that it was a game where you're playing almost like an inter squad against your other guys. But he got a beat on the ball, and he ran it down, and just kind of a precursor to what we've seen so many times. I think we've seen at least 3, maybe 4 plays this year where he's done very similar type movements where he's gotten the balls that probably are outfielders' balls in most situations, but he covered some ground. And, I know with Edward Olivares playing out in left field, sometimes doesn't get the best breaks on balls.
Yeah.
So Bobby Witt Jr. understands that, hey, I may have to make some of these catches. Sure enough, he's covered it.
With his ability to try, and I'm not saying that, he's not going to make it at shortstop, but the assumption that I've had is, okay, if you move him off shortstop, you'll move him to third base because, infield on the dirt, he's got a great arm so he can throw across the diamond. But with his ability to track, if shortstop doesn't work and they say, look, we got to find somebody else to play this, is center field an option for Bobby Witt? I know it's not like, just put him in the outfield, put him here, put him there. Hey, this guy, he's not a good outfielder. Put him at first base. It'll be perfectly fine. Like the old saying, if the fat kid can hit, put him at first. Okay, it's no big deal. Could the breaks he gets and the speed he has and feels like the ability to immediately judge the ball, I mean, it seems like the makings are there of what could be a premier center fielder.
Well, he could play any position on the field. I'm convinced of that. I mean, he could play catcher. I think if you asked him to, and I know he pitched some in high school, so he has the tools, the ability to play any position on the field. Obviously, your shortstop and your center fielder, those are premier positions defensively, but I would say there's no doubt that he could play center field with the best of them.
Yeah, I kind of feel like now moving forward, like when I talk about if he's not going to make it at shortstop, I kind of feel like I'm going to move on to the side of maybe center field over third base for Bobby Witt, because, man, seeing him track the baseball is just something special. And I know it's not an easy transition because the Marlins moved Jazz Chisholm to center field from the infield, and that has been, to say the least, a transition for him. And now he's on the IL with a turf toe injury to his foot because he's doing a lot more running in the outfield playing games than he's ever had to do by playing on the dirt. So that's been an adjustment. It hasn't really worked out for him, and he's had some bad reads and some bad plays. He's had a couple of Nate Eaton in the outfield this year, has Jazz Chisholm. So it's not like it's just going to be easy, but I didn't ever look at Jazz Chisholm as a guy that was able to track the ball the way that Bobby Witt does. So not everything is going to be equal. Not everything is going to be the same. So I know that that's been brought up of like, Miami tried that, and it didn't really work out. Bobby Witt's not Jazz.
Well, Bobby Witt, his improvement at shortstop's been dramatic, in my opinion.
True.
He's a guy that last year, I know the metrics say he was one of the worst shortstops in baseball. I don't know if I really necessarily saw that, except he didn't make the routine plays that you have to make at that position. But he's much, much better at making routine plays, and he makes some of those highlight reel plays on a fairly regular basis now. So I think him playing shortstop, that's the right place for him to be, and hopefully just continues to improve with experience and gets better and better at that position, because you have to have a premier shortstop if you're going to be able to compete and be a contending team.
So in the fifth inning, when everything started to unravel for the defense, and they get 2 runs that are unearned, Sullivan's up at the plate, the number 9 hitter, and he pops it up to left field. In an odd, connecting the dots, dominoes sort of thing. To me, it's Edward Olivares that has to go and make that play. But in an odd way, is there a connection between Bobby Witt's ability to go and track the ball in the air and do that, and Edward Olivares just assuming that Garcia is going to get there and sort of jogging in and I think nonchalantly lollygagging there, thinking that Garcia is going to make the play, and then Garcia's like, oh, that's over my head. Let me turn around, and oh, wait, Edward Olivares isn't there because he stopped running. Is there a little bit of Olivares just assumes that the infield that they're going to get it instead of taking charge on something that is his ball? The one on Bobby Witt wasn't his ball. He wasn't going to get there. That was a great play by Bobby, but the pop-up to left field or foul territory, that's Edward Olivares, right? That's his play.
Well, I can assure you that Alex scored and would have made that play at least 99 times out of 100.
Yeah.
And
I would guess 100 out of 100. Yeah.
Probably 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's a ball that has to be caught. It's an easier play for the outfielder than for the third baseman or the shortstop, depending on where the shortstop's coming from.
True. Yeah.
But that's a ball that has to be caught. And I think when you have that deficiency with regards to, like I mentioned earlier, giving an extra out in an inning, even though I don't think it was scored an error. It's a play that should have been made. And then with 2 outs, there's a ball hits the second base, and Matt Duffy kind of caught it between hops. He throws the ball away, and that's when you just, it's glaring that you've given up, I think, more runs in that inning than you should have given up. You shouldn't have given up any runs possibly. So talked about the Nate Eaton play that he needs to keep out and ball in front of him. Instead, he dives for it and it goes all the way to the wall. So, yeah, you just have to find ways to clean those things up. You cannot win baseball games very often by giving up that many runs in an inning when you shouldn't have given up possibly any runs.
Well, and it's amazing how quickly that happened in the fifth. I mean, it's 5-0, 2 outs, nobody on, and Sullivan has the pop-up. That's the end of the inning. Get out of there. Didn't happen. The very next pitch is the ground ball up the middle, gets past Duffy, and then sort of snakes its way underneath or just to the right of MJ Melendez's glove. Like, that was the very next pitch, the pop-up and then the ground ball that got past MJ to end up being a double. And then a few pitches later was Tatis's ground ball to Duffy that, you know, was a hot shot, but Major League second baseman makes the play. And then the wild throw that ends up allowing the run, and then the triple by Cronenworth a couple of pitches later. It was like a 6-pitch stretch to where it was 5-0, 2 outs, nobody on. You're out of the inning, and all of a sudden it's 5-2. I bring that up because, Monty, we've seen Brady Singer melt down a time or two or three in games where something doesn't go his way and he gets upset and he loses the focus and sort of, you know, is yelling at clouds and instead of limiting the damage. Last night, to me, for someone that has been struggling this year at times, most of the time, he had a good outing his previous outing, and then in that one, in the fifth, he's cruising essentially, and it starts to unravel, and then in the sixth starts to unravel. For him to be able to limit the damage in a way that he did, you know, whether that's growth or not, like I was just wondering your opinion on that from what we've seen from Brady Singer and sometimes his inability to keep it together when things are sort of falling around him and just focus on the next pitch, the next batter, to what he did last night when the guys behind him were not helping him out.
Yeah, it was good to see him be able to get through that sixth inning because that's an inning that's going to be a critical inning, and you know, the bullpen's been used a fair amount. It's going to be used a whole lot today, so you want to find ways to get some more innings out of your starting pitchers. You know, they've kind of had that freeway between Omaha and Kansas City going with guys where they have needed coverage in the bullpen based on the fact that they need to cover so many innings. But for Brady Singer, I think a step in the right direction. I'm glad to see his last two starts be the way they have been, a couple quality starts, because they certainly need Brady Singer to be the Brady Singer they saw the second half of last year. If there's going to be much hope for this rotation, essentially panning out the way that they've mapped it out to be now for the last 2 or 3 years.
What do you make of Quattro's trust in Taylor Clark to go out there in the eighth inning? He threw Chapman in the seventh because it was 9-1-2 coming up, so he wanted him to face what would be maybe the more difficult part of the lineup. But by getting those guys out, then it ultimately brought up with Taylor Clark to face Soto, Bogarts, Carpenter, Odor, you know, those guys. The ability for Taylor Clark to get out of it. It was a great pickoff move, you know, got out of it by some bad base running and a pretty good, you know, drill by the Royals to do things fundamentally sound while keeping track of the guy at third and chasing him down. But the faith that Quattrero had in that moment of Taylor Clark instead of what could have been a move of saying, you know what, I'm just going to have Barlow get a two-inning save here.
Yeah, I think Taylor Clark has earned the chance to be out there. That's a tough situation. You're going to have 3 out of 4 batters going to be left-handed right in the middle of a very experienced batting order.
Yeah.
But he's missed a lot of bats lately. I think in his last 7 innings, he's struck out like 14 batters, so 2 strikeouts per inning, and saw some big swing and misses last night. And that pickoff was outstanding. The way he made the pickoff and the way they executed it in the rundown. So I think Taylor Clark's got a really high level of confidence right now, whether it be a right-handed batter or a left-handed batter. He's got the really good changeup. I like the way he spots his fastball and the breaking ball to go along with it. So he has the tools, the arsenal, to be effective against lefties or righties.
Yeah, last 7 innings pitched for Taylor Clark, he's got 14 strikeouts and 3 walks in his last 7 innings. So, yeah, you're right. He is missing bats. He's getting strikeouts and picking guys off, which was nice in that particular moment. Visiting with Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, Bally Sports TV, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Brad Keller had the rough outing against the Padres. He's had walk issues in his career. He's had some control, some command issues in his career. He said that he's working on his tempo now. Whether that's, when I think of tempo, I think of how quickly you're back on the mound and throwing the next pitch. And he's talking about even the delivery of whether he's too fast in his delivery, too slow, things like that. Working with Driveline that you and I talked about of like developing a different pitch and what it could mean for him. And apparently Driveline was like, hey, you need to be quicker in, your delivery here and the tempo in which you're going through the mechanics of your windup or your stretch. So he felt like maybe he was getting too fast, and now he slowed it down, and maybe it's too slow, or maybe he just needs to go back to what it was. This is an interesting part of pitching that, I never really give much thought to. It's just watching and controlling command of just how quickly you're going through that. How much can that impact Brad Keller that he goes into the offseason? And, I mean, we thought, the new pitch was great, what he learned from Driveline, but is there a chance that trying to learn the new pitch now all of a sudden may have messed him up in terms of, his tempo of what he's done most of his career in, his delivery to the plate, that he's talked about him trying to find that happy medium?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm seeing with Brad Keller is the guy that he goes through these on and off periods where he's locked in with his mechanics and he just completely loses. I mean, he's thrown some pitches that have been, literally Salvador Perez can't even get his glove on him.
Yeah.
Just some such non-competitive pitches. There's got to be some hitch there that is just not allowing him to execute. But I think when you're a pitcher in the middle of a Major League Baseball game, it is so hard to be out there thinking about your mechanics and trying to do things and make those adjustments. Now, you have to make adjustments, and you have to identify what you need to do to make the change. Say if you throw a ball that's on the arm side up and away, you know that your left side has flown open and you have to stay close and get it back. And that's a minor adjustment. That's something you do very easily. But when you see a pitcher like Brad Keller seemingly making adjustments on almost every pitch he makes, it tells me there's just too much going through his thought process while he's out on the mound. And these are all things that you have to find a way to just really fine-tune everything in your bullpen sessions, in your side sessions, and then you take it out of the game, and it's almost like it's automatic. I mean, you just have these you have to get locked in, and when you're not, it is so hard. I've been there myself. It's so hard to try to get that feeling when you're in the middle of a game trying to execute pitches. It's so hard to try to get things going in the middle of a ball game, and that's what I've seen from Brad. And the walks are just a telltale sign that the mechanics are just not there on a consistent basis. It's interesting to me. It's more on his fastball than his other pitches because he'll throw fastball to be 3-0, and then he can come back and get a guy out, maybe strike a guy out with his breaking balls. So it tells me that there's just something particularly with that fastball mechanics that is getting him so out of whack that he's not able to consistently hit that strike zone. And that's something when Brad Keller first came up, it seemed like that was what he was all about. He was challenge hitters, use that lively fastball, two-seam, four-seam fastball, and get a lot of ground balls. And he's really evolved into a guy now that misses bats a lot. And I think that's just obviously by design, but I think it's also led him down a path that's created a lot of complexity with regards to his mechanics and his ability to go out there consistently hitting that strike zone.
Jeff Montgomery is our guest. Bally Sports Royals Hall of Famers presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. You bring that up of like trying to figure that out on the mound and going through that and trying to just focus on the next pitch while you've got some things, whether it's mechanics or tempo or figuring those things out. I want to revert back a little bit to the conversation we were having about Brady Singer and the defense because it popped into my head when you were talking about that. How difficult would it be then? And maybe it's another sort of a compliment to Brady Singer in that he's had some issues and blocking some things out and having some blow-up innings and not being able to limit damage that, it's not trying to figure things out with yourself on the mound, but blocking out some errors that took place and still having the trust that if the ball is put in play, the defense is going to make the play and do what they have to do to back you up. I'm assuming that can't be easy when you're like, I should be out of the inning right now. Okay, here's a single. Oh, wait, that guy's at second base because it went through his glove. I should be out of the inning right now. Oh, wait, he threw that into the dugout. I should be out of the inning right now. Oh, a triple. I should be out of the inning right now. Like, how difficult is that to sort of just get back into your groove and say, you know what, it happened. The next one, the guys behind me will take care of it.
Well, I think there's an assumption when make a pitch that your defenders are going to make a play. I don't think there's any ever looking back and, hey, I should be out of the inning. I think you're now looking to the next batter. And if the guy does make an error behind you, you understand that that's going to happen. I mean, pitchers hang sliders, too. They make mistakes. And I think as a pitcher, you have a responsibility to turn around and look at that second baseman and say, hey, I got you covered here. I'm going to make a good pitch. He's going to hit a ground ball to you, and so be ready. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. I don't think you can really be looking back and saying, oh, gosh, here we go again. The defense is not supporting me. I don't think that really comes into I know it never came into my thought process. I was always focused on, hey, I got to find a way to cover him and get the next batter out.
It's so funny because watching the game, that's a lot of focus of, man, he should be out of the inning. Well, they just put 12 extra pitches on his pitch count by not making that one play, and now maybe there's an extra inning where the bullpen has to come out. Those small little things that start to accumulate and add up. Speaking of that, Jackson Kowar is called up. Max Castillo was optioned. Is this a quick move to where Castillo wasn't going to be used the next 2 or 3 days to give his arm some rest after the pitch count elevated over the last few times for him, that Kowar is called up in case they need a long reliever? Or is this Kowar coming up to be a part of the team for the foreseeable future?
I don't think Kowar would be here had it not been for the fact that Max Castillo has thrown, I think, like 112 or 118 pitches in a 2 outing span. They just literally had to have some coverage, based on the fact that Keller didn't go deep, and they just needed some coverage for last night's game and today's game with a bullpen game going today. So, but I think on the other side of that, if Jackson Kowar demonstrates his ability to get people out, and then I think they would love for him to be on that, on that pitching staff long term. I mean, I think he's in their long term plans. He still needs to find a way to be consistent with the strike zone, consistent with getting guys out. And the things I've noticed, the times I've seen Jackson Kowar pitch, both in spring training as well as his limited stint in the major leagues, is enormous ability with regards to his stuff. However, when he misses with too much of that strike zone. He misses in parts of the strike zone where he gets hit hard, whether it be balls are leaving the ballpark or balls are hit hard in the gaps. So I think eliminating those type of mistakes, that's going to be the biggest key for him. But his stuff is really, really good. And you'd love to have that kind of stuff and find a way to put it all together, because if so, then you got something.
Do you remember a guy or example of somebody that at some point in their career was incredibly what seemed like unhittable, and then kind of just lost it after that? He had in 2021 in AAA, he had a 3.5 ERA, but he had in 80 innings 115 strikeouts and 34 walks. He was called up to the big leagues, didn't work out with his 11.5 ERA. And then back in Omaha, he's got a 6 ERA with 80 strikeouts and 40 walks in 80 innings. And then this year in Omaha, he's got 20 innings, 25 strikeouts, 19 walks. He was dominant and next to unhittable, wasn't walking guys, was striking a ton of guys out per 9. And then he gets called up and it doesn't work, and now he's not effective down in AAA either. Is there an example of somebody that's happened, or you can remember that, something along those lines, that just kind of lost it at all levels when he was at least at one level just really, really dominant?
Yeah, in fact, I was just talking about this a couple of nights ago with some of the Padres television announcers. Remember a guy named Mark Davis in Kansas City? In 1989, he won the Cy Young Award in the National League. We signed him. He came over. It just, for some reason, it never materialized for him after that year where he won the Cy Young. He was just literally dominant, unhittable, the best pitcher in the National League one year. And the Royals signed him with a 4-year contract, and I don't think he even finished the whole 4 years. I know he didn't finish him with the Royals. I don't even know if he finished him on an active roster. So, yes, that's the example. Now you got to go back 3 decades, to recapture that. But it's interesting you brought that up, because I'm just talking about Mark Davis while we're here in San Diego, where he had that that outstanding year in 1989.
Yes, 72 saves over 2 years. The final 2 years of San Diego, 72 saves, a Cy Young, and the rest of his career spanning parts of 4 years. He has 15 total saves after that. So, yeah, it was just a collapse after that. So the cliff was right there. We'll see what happens today. Jeff Montgomery, Royals Hall of Famer, Bally Sports, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Monty, have a good call. Hopefully, we're talking next week about some more wins, and hopefully after today, it's the Royals taking series from 2 of 3 teams, even if you mix in the sweep by the Brewers. So we'll see what happens with that. Thank you, Monty. Appreciate it, bud.
You got it, Jason. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. There's Jeff Montgomery. Great stuff. He needs to get out to the golf course, man. Come on. He's in San Diego, but he said it was cloudy, and that's too bad. Come on, man. I feel bad for Monty. He's there in San Diego, and he can't get some golfing in. Jamie Bluma gets a hole-in-one, and Monty can't go out there and try to match that with what would be his 4th hole-in-one. I think he told us he had 3 in his life. You start to lose count after a while. Jeff Montgomery, presented by First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Is your man cave ready? Complete your game day setup with a home equity line of credit from First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Get game day ready at ffbkc.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Schaefer joins us at 1 o'clock. KSHB 41 Sports Director. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thank you to Jeff Montgomery. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up at 1 o'clock. 913-912-4810 text says, tremendous Dean Palmer reference. Thank you. Says, I can still remember the afternoon he hit that bomb to the base of one of the flagpoles on top of the left field hill next to the water. Yeah, that's the exact home run I'm talking about, when Dean Palmer hit that. Now, I don't know where that would land in the stand. I don't know. I don't know. Would it be bouncing up the stand? Like, I don't know. But I had that reference at the time, and so when they put in the seats, I was like, oh. And no, it's so beautiful.
What about Dean?
What about Mr. Palmer?
Where would Dean have hit all those balls?
Come on, man. Where's my frame of reference that I grew up with? And in the GA, there's the nostalgia that goes along with it when they renovated the K.
1998 Royals nostalgia is a special genre of nostalgia.
Was that 98 when he hit that?
At 98 is when he was an all-star. He was.
God, I would love to know
it was
what the
97 or 98. I'll tell you that.
I would love to know the distance on that shot of what it was. Because, man, it felt like 470. It almost landed on I-70 is what it felt like at the time. That thing was smoked.
I'm going to go ahead and make this my pet project. Can I find this one home run? This is while a member of the Royals, correct?
Oh, yeah. He was with the Royals at the time, yeah.
Wasn't, coming back for revenge with the Tigers later.
The Royals number that blew me away was the pitch 103.8 last night from Chapman. I remember when the Royals got Roberto Hernandez, he was going to be the closer, and I was at the game, his first game as a Royal, and he threw a pitch that was 97 miles an hour, and the stadium went crazy.
I can't believe he's throwing 97.
No one could believe it. 103.8.
And he's thrown 105 before. I mean, he's hit 105 on the gun.
I think Nate Eaton might have thrown 97.
You are not wrong.
This is a different era.
Nate Eaton has a faster pitch off the mound than he does exit velocity with any one of his hits this year. His 2 hits this year. He gave up more bases on diving headfirst on a ball that he had no shot than he has actually bases he's picked up in total this year at the plate. But it's so funny. The Roberto Hernandez thing is great because we watched Rookie of the Year the other day with my son, and the fact that Rowan Gardner, like obviously being a 12-year-old kid, I mean, it's amazing that he would be throwing that fast. It hasn't happened since, by the way, so it's very rare that he was
generational talent.
Yeah, documentary, and only a 1-year wonder too. That's what sucks about that.
So disappointing.
What would have happened if he wouldn't have slipped on the baseball the second time? How good would that arm have lasted? Going from, would he have had Tommy John surgery?
I did think it was weird that the result there is that they went through the graphic process of actually giving him Tommy John, but
Tommy John, like, it wouldn't have even been affected because the whole torque was on that shoulder. It was the shoulder ligament, so that the rest of the arm was just along for the ride. The whip action wasn't from the elbow to the hand.
Just the follow through on the elbow's got to put a lot of torque on a 12-year-old arm.
But a couple of movies that it's like, I can't believe they're pitching that fast. Henry Rowan Gardner, Rosenbagger, Runamucker, hit like 100 on the gun, and it was like, that's unbelievable. And Wild Thing Vaughn, throwing 98, 99, and then he hit 100 when he went Parkman, and Parkman was, boys pumped up. He hit 100. Now it's like, starting pitcher, Jacob deGrom, 100 on the black. Ooh, 91 miles an hour on a slider. Oh, 101. Got him. Struck him out. But back then it was like, Rick Vaughn's throwing 100, dude.
He hit 100.
He hit 100. 100 miles an hour. I mean, he wants Parkman, but Parkman's not up. Then I'll walk him. I want Parkman. And he hit 100, and Parkman's like, this guy is pumped up. So, yeah, it's crazy. Like, what would it be now if out of the bullpen came this guy that was just this hard-throwing, couldn't command it, this Rick Wild Thing Vaughn, this kid that threw a frozen rope from the bleachers at Wrigley Field is now on the mound. What's he throwing? 100 was always that line of like, you got to 100. That was gas. I mean, would you have to throw like 106? Because I think Chapman's hit 105.
I think 105 is the number that everyone in the stadium looks at and go, holy bleep, that was a bullet. But I think for it to be like a national story, it would have to be like whoever hits 110. I know we're really close to the limits of human anatomy, but someone someday will probably throw a baseball 110 miles an hour, and that'll be a story. But I don't know.
The story is going to be when they throw it and the arm is still attached to the baseball and just goes flying with it.
And that's going to
be the story.
That's going to do a wicked number on the aerodynamics of that ball. But also hitting it, if you can get it through the strike zone with your arm still attached.
How does it hit 110 with an arm still attached?
That one seems difficult, but we'll work on it.
Was it Dave Dravecky that broke his arm throwing a pitch?
Oh, wow.
Oof, you know what? I'm a big Googler to try to answer. I don't really want to Google that one.
The last pitch that Chet Steadman threw, he ripped his shoulder and he was done. He felt the shoulder go. Yeah, that was the last pitch he ever threw, Chet Steadman. Yes, the Rocket, also from Rookie of the Year.
I couldn't
Cubs
so
great,
far
Chet Steadman.
find the specific Dean Palmer homer you're looking for, but I have found a YouTube video of Dean Palmer allegedly hitting 477 against the Tigers as a member of the Rangers. So we at least know he's got 475 on record here, and also just a great comment from someone 2 years ago on this YouTube video with 1.8 thousand views. It just says, if you like solo home runs when your team is down by a 6 or up by 7, then DP was the GOAT. That feels like a Royals legend right there. You want a solo homer when your team's down 6 or maybe up 7?
Yeah,
Dean Palmer time.
See the video of 477 and back in Tiger Stadium.
Tell you what, it did not look like a 477-foot swing. He gets through the zone quick there, unlike us, and if he starts just legging it out. I don't think he knew this was gone until he was rounding first base.
I really need somebody to find this. I need the project to be done. How far that home run was that landed at the top of the hill at the base of the flagpole before they had the seats there in 97, 98?
Do you have any chance remembering who they were playing or who it was off of?
Oh, zero.
Okay.
Oh, no. Who it's off of? What am I, Curtis?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm hoping.
You kidding me?
Because I feel like we could make something happen there.
The only thing I can picture is the hill and it landing and me thinking, I've never seen a ball hit that far in my life. And then apparently Giancarlo Stanton would put one at Denny's.
Yeah.
Be the one that would land on George Brett Bridge.
You can light an arrow on fire. Maybe the opposing pitchers for Stanton light the ball on fire. Boom, that's how that Denny's happened.
Nope, that's not what happened at all. I'm not sure, and we still don't have the bottom of whether or not there's injuries. So it's not.
I haven't seen anything. No, I've seen no indication that anyone was hurt.
Okay.
Still very unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely, it is, and it's unfortunate we don't have the distance on this home run from Dean Palmer.
I'm looking at Steve Balboni right now. I don't know why this has ended up on my home run leaders.
I don't remember the Steve Balboni home run on the
Detroit Tigers brawls.
Top of the beam.
Steve Balboni ever hit one off of Dean Palmer? Dean Palmer ever pitch?
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty good, I think, at kind of just being able to get the search terms to find a thing.
I think I'm pretty good at that too.
But
this is not working.
This getting the freaking exit velo and spin rate on this pitch and home run.
I don't care about
Palmer.
the exit velo or the spin rate. I just want to know the distance.
I just can't even find. This is gonna end. I'm gonna disappear for like 2.5 weeks. I'm gonna come back. You're gonna have huge bags under your eyes, but you're gonna have rewatched every home run of Dean Palmer's Royals career, and you will have found it and charted it out yourself. There's gonna be a 30 for 30 on this by the time I get back.
What I'm gonna do is I just need to find video of where it landed. Then I'm going to connect that side by side with the renovated Kauffman Stadium where the seats are, and then find a home run that landed near that, and then just estimate.
I don't know how, but I just ended up clicking a link on StatMuse, hoping that for my Google search, hoping it would get me there. And it just says verbatim, the Seattle Mariners pulled it off against the Kansas City Royals 8-7 on April 20th, 1998.
Cool.
I don't know. So I got a box score from a 4/20/98 Royals Mariners game.
What'd Griffey do?
Well, he's the little icon here. He had homer in the third.
Of course he did.
A-Rod homer. Junior scored later on. Sac fly to bring in A-Rod. That was the
Edgar Martinez do anything that game?
Go ahead run. I didn't see anything.
No. Does he have a day off?
Edgar here. I'm just looking at the scoring.
I'm tired of load
right
management
now.
back in the 90s by
these soft players.
I mean, wusses. Ridiculous, man. Play 162 like the best.
Here's a fun part of this of this box score. Let's remember some dudes, okay? So Dean Palmer's DHing. Johnny Damon's in center field.
Nice.
Who's catching for the Royals?
Catching for the Royals is Mike Sweeney.
Michael Sweeney.
Yeah.
Behind the plate.
Is Dye in right?
Had a home run that game, by the way. Shane Mack was in left and right, as was Ernie Young in center and right. Hal Morris pitched in left field.
Oh, okay.
Pinch hit in left field, not pitched. Pinched.
So it was
Terry Pendleton at third.
So it was Damon and Sweeney. Okay, who was at first? Jeff King?
Jeff King was at first.
Jay Bell at second.
Jose Offerman at second.
Jose Offerman? Was Chili on that team?
2 for 5.
Is Chili Davis on that team? Was he? Did he have the day off there? I don't know.
Not on this specific day.
I get that whole group of Royals around that time sort of meshes together on which player was on which team and which sort of year.
Tough start for Chris Haney. 4 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, all earned.
I mean,
3 homers.
There was so much promise for Chris Haney.
I still haven't gotten over this game.
Then he became the play-by-play announcer for the Jayhawks.
Changed his name. Had to get away from that old reputation.
He didn't want anybody to remember how bad he was.
Started going by his middle name.
Changed his voice.
King Griffey Jr. was
changed.
2 for 3.
Good for him. We'll take a timeout.
He was good at baseball. Last time we ever talk about that.
It's debatable. It's debatable. We can get into that debate. I'm not sure.
Hey, sorry. Last thing from this Mariners game from 1998. The Royals put it on Randy Johnson.
Take that, Randy.
3 1/3, 8 hits, 6 runs, all earned, and the Royals still lost.
That same game?
Same game.
They hit Randy Johnson around that?
They thumped Randy Johnson.
Was he still messed up in the head from killing the bird?
I don't know.
The same one?
What
was the miles per hour on
Didn't he
exploding
kill the bird in Arizona? This is pre-Arizona.
Yeah, no, he did.
We found that bird exit velo.
Right. Well, that's probably true. What was the exit velo on the bird?
Well, on the way down, eventually it was 0.
Thing exploded. So we need the distance from Dean Palmer. We need the miles per hour on Randy Johnson's pitch that exploded the bird. That's all we're going to do for the next hour and 15 minutes until we get to the bottom of this. Sorry. Help us out or, don't. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back more so next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com in the 810 mobile app.
Way too caught up in this.
How's the rabbit hole?
Yeah, it's way too far. Now I'm actually going through and seeing how many home runs Dean Palmer hit at Kauffman Stadium as a member of the Royals. So he hit 21 at Kauffman Stadium in 1998, and now I'm just going through in 1997. There's one that he hit in Kauffman that makes 22. He hit one there, so it's 23.
On the plus side, you now know definitively what the open of the show tomorrow is going to be.
25, 26.
How hard can it be to find game film from 1997-98?
So he hit 26 home runs at Kauffman Stadium as a member of the Royal. So that's,
You've already narrowed it down to 26 at-bats.
And I've got the games that he hit. All I have to do is just go back and find all of those games on TV and then watch them somehow on the internet, somewhere.
Just record every Royals game from the late 90s on like MLB Network replays, and I bet you'll have evidence of all of those in the next 40 or 50 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be pretty easy, actually. I mean, I think we're going about this all wrong there, Smalls. I blame myself, really.
Have you looked to see? Because I think at some point on like Baseball Reference, they would have the distance the homer had gone in the game log. So if you could actually get to those game logs,
well, that's going to be. Is that no?
That was my watch! Oh no! Woo! All right, I'm going to put myself in a 2.5-week timeout.
As you should.
Starting in an hour.
As you should.
By the way, it looks like Randy Johnson's fastball was nearly 100 miles an hour. I don't have the specific velocity.
Nearly 100.
Just
okay.
sub 5. Just sub 100.
Sub 100. So it wasn't even 100 miles an hour that did that. So what's the miles per hour to exploding ratio for a bird on a pitch?
Exploding's an interesting word because fatal to a bird, I'm sure, is a much lower number.
Yeah, miles per hour to fatality. Does it have to be like 30 miles an hour?
Birds are pretty fragile. A lot of them are pretty small.
15 miles an hour?
And what kind of bird? Because like
good point. Like an eagle,
a goose. I think if Randy Johnson would have hit a goose with that ball, the goose would have taken first base.
Yeah, vulture might just be pissed off at it.
Just waddle right on down to first and just stand there, wait for the next pitch.
Really, pterodactyl would actually just kill you then.
Pterodactyl, it's over. Yeah, that's horrible.
The ball,
but if you
kill you,
if you sneeze on a sparrow or something, that's ball game. So I don't know.
Sneeze on a sparrow. Do you have evidence of this?
No. No, I try to keep my sneezes away from any sparrows. I don't want to find out.
You ever killed anything in your life? I mean, I sneezed on a sparrow once.
I felt so bad. I sneezed so hard.
Yeah, I mean, I once shot a BB gun at somebody and it missed him, but it hit a squirrel and it didn't kill him, but I bet it bruised him. It may have broken the skin. But yeah, so so I would stay away from me if I was you. I've got a past. I've seen some things, man. I've seen some stuff. So all that brings us to Jackson Kowar.
It actually does, I think. I mean, that's where this started.
Well, actually, I think it started with the Phoenix Coyotes or Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, thank you.
Or the Glendale Coyotes?
The TBD Coyotes.
The Tempe Coyotes.
The Temporary Coyotes.
I was going to go with Temp Coyotes. The Temp Coyotes. For now. We'll see where they end up. But Houston has been talked about. Kansas City's been thrown into the mix by a number of different websites of, hey, the Coyotes are going to move. Where are they going to go? Houston, KC, Portland, Salt Lake City, Quebec, also a place that Atlanta people have thrown out there. So, yeah, KC's being talked about, but not sure that we would be one of the top 2 or 3 options for Arizona Coyotes to move to.
The Thrashers haven't been out of Atlanta that long, have they? If we're playing that game of does a city get another shot at having a team?
I'm just going by the about
2011 they became the Winnipeg Jets.
So like the number of different websites I went to last night just to see which cities are going to be named. Like people just throwing things out there, right? And there was a lot of cities named, but the majority of the articles, the pieces, not just some random shootthepuck.org.gov.com. No, like, LA Times and the Houston Chronicle and the Phoenix.
There's the Arizona Republic?
That's what it is. It's
okay.
the Arizona Republic. Thank you. The Arizona Republic. And just, cities like that just to see. And Kansas City was mentioned in almost every one of them. Houston seems to be the one that it's like, if they move, they'll go to Houston. Portland's been talked about. Salt Lake, but Atlanta was there, Quebec was there. But again, Kansas City was one of the cities that in almost everyone was brought up. And I think there's an obvious tie-in of, hey, they've got a ready-made arena.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through all of the stuff of trying to get it built. And if you're going to move, how many years do you have to play in this 5,000-seat arena in Tempe on the campus of Arizona State while you have the land developed and bought and the real estate, and then you're, building everything to where you can then play your home games in said arena, as opposed to, hey, you can just go to the T-Mobile Center right there and it's ready-made. It's boom. It's got you can just cut the red ribbon and just move right on in. So,
and not to keep using all of the divorce metaphors today, but it feels
no,
like
you're getting ready to be married. You might as well.
I might as well use them all now.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like, and it's based on some of the conversations we were having earlier, but it's starting to feel like the only way that there's going to be a team in T-Mobile Center is on the back of a messy divorce, because it is a situation where it's like, hey, you need somewhere to stay? You need a couch to crash on? We got a great couch for you to crash on.
All of a sudden, the T-Mobile Center that we were promised an NHL team with Boots DiBiagio, now all of a sudden that's become the couch that your friend can crash on after said divorce.
It's like a really expensive futon, yeah, because especially if we've had all these conversations just in Kansas City about the Royals and Chiefs both, really, and this idea of like building the district and what's publicly funded, what's privately funded, and all of that. It is becoming more bizarre and more concerning, and then maybe, I guess, whole way around a little less bizarre to realize, like, T-Mobile Center's not necessarily out here courting every possible team.
Mm-hmm.
And teams aren't looking at that as big of a resource as we do here, saying, hey, you got a ready-made stadium.
It's also not brand new.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. When's that T-Mobile Center renovation coming?
At the time, it was like, you've got state-of-the-art stuff in the locker rooms and everything. Now it's like, they're building $2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, stadiums and things like that for the NFL, but this is a $2 billion, what was voted down by the residents of Tempe. This was a $2 billion development, which included an entertainment district and restaurants and hotels and things like that. But yeah, you're right, Drake. It's not brand new. They didn't just take the wrapping off that.
Be a part of the wildest fundraiser in Kansas City, Jazzoo. Party animals will gather for a 21 and over evening at the zoo to enjoy unlimited food, drinks, and entertainment all night long. The event features live bands, local DJs, and more. Proceeds from Jazzoo provide food and care for the zoo's 1,700 animals, as well as educational opportunities for children in our community. Grab your tickets today at kansascityzoo.org/Jazzoo.
Erectile dysfunction affects nearly 50%.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Briscoe, Drake, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Mick, do you have video at Metro Sports of the Dean Palmer home run from 98?
That was right about the time that 810 was launching, right?
Yeah,
and right about the time that Metro Sports was launching.
I mean,
they might. They might. I'm going to give Sean Belton a call. I'm going to text my buddy Joe Novacek over there. Speaking of Novacek, I was at Olathe West. That's where I came from for a shoot we had with their boys basketball coach was the high school coach of Jimmy Butler. So we talked to him.
Nice. That's
Guess
pretty
how tall
cool.
Jimmy Butler was as a freshman.
I'm going to say he was like 5'6".
5'7", actually. He was 5'7".
So close.
Shot up.
Well, he's one of the few.
And just got great.
Isn't he one of the few like JUCO guys that then was like, hey, this guy's a JUCO guy, and we'll see what kind of impact he'll make in college. And it's like, oh, he's amazing at Marquette. And then he's amazing in the NBA. But it's like typically like, hey, you got the #1 JUCO in the country. He ended up averaging 6 points and 3 rebounds, but he averaged 25. But he was amazing at Marquette. Like Tom Crean did that with a couple people. Like Dwayne Wade was a non-qualifier and had to sit out, and then led him to a Final Four. And then Jimmy Butler from JUCO, and then goes to Marquette and doesn't go to a Final Four, but he's phenomenal when he's at Marquette.
I thought Brad Ball's his name, the coach, and he summed it up perfectly. He said, he's not flashy. If you watch him, he's not going to be on a highlight reel every night. He's not flashy. He just finds how to make himself important to every team he's on, right? Doing the things that are necessary to be efficient. He's so efficient out there. Is why he's not flashy, is what he said. I'm like, it's a great way to describe him, because you think he's like a star in the NBA, right? Yeah. He's not superstar stats, but he's a star. He's like kind of the face of that team, and has been the face of the Bulls. But he's just efficient, and he finds the little things. The little things are big things, right? To do to make teams better. And then you realize, as the coach put it, he's like, you realize you can't live without him. And so I thought that was a good way to describe him.
No,
anyway,
he's been amazing. That it's just the story that Jason Kidd told about the Jimmy Butler. Might have been Jason Kidd. I don't remember who it was. Regardless, it was the Jimmy Butler when he showed up to the Timberwolves, and at practice he was going through the contract dispute, and he shows up there at practice, and Karl Anthony Towns is out there and a couple of others, and he shows up, and they're like, all right, let's scrimmage, let's go. Got Butler, and then the starting man Butler's like, no. I want those guys, and picks like the 4 backup players, and then just smokes the starters, and is just talking crap to Karl Anthony Towns. So, this is the dude. This is the guy that you all want to pay. And just toasts him. Game is over. Walks off the court. Goes home. Does an interview an hour later with, who is it from ESPN?
He did it an hour. I'm going to find it. I'm on a story about it right now.
She's like the main
Rachel Nichols, maybe?
Rachel Nichols, yeah. Did an interview with Rachel Nichols an hour later.
Yep.
About the reports that came out about what just happened at practice.
From his house.
And was, well, I'm just so competitive, I really want to play, and I'm just such a competitive player. And they're like, I've never seen this happen. This dude showed up, took his shirt off, destroyed the starters with the backups, and then went and did an interview an hour later, knowing he had the interview scheduled to then show up, take the backups, and beat the team the way that he did, to show the coaches and everything about what I mean to this team. You better pay me. He had the interview scheduled to go and talk about what he was about to do. That is a baller move in terms of a contract dispute.
This legend continued to grow for a while. I don't know if you had heard this detail. I thought I had a glimmer, and Jamal Crawford here. This is at least 2 degrees removed. But he said, I'm going to tell you the coldest part. I don't know if Jimmy said this. I think he had his Rolex on while he was killing everybody with the ball. I think he had a Rolex watch on while he was killing people, picking them apart in practice, and then walked off the floor. It was classic from what I heard.
It's amazing.
Watching everything.
I don't know who the interview was with, that story was brought up a couple of weeks ago.
Did you mention that he apparently shot the ball one time during that practice? That it was all like that.
I don't remember that detail.
He was
just
destroying
made everybody.
People. Yes, that was he said he only shot the ball once during that scrimmage.
That's funny.
He's unbelievable. Like, he's a phenomenal player. And the main reason why the Heat would have a chance against the Celtics because of Jimmy Buckets and what he can do. I don't know. Is there an update on Tyler Hero if he's going to be able to return in this
I don't
series,
know.
depending on the length of it with his broken hand? Because I mean that's a 6 to 8 week injury that happened 3-4 weeks ago, I think. So I don't know what the update
Not
would
close,
be.
it looks like.
Okay, cool. So no. Well, I don't know if this thing goes 7. That thing lasts typically
what does
until
close
August.
mean? Exactly.
I mean these playoffs are going to go a while.
Anyway, speaking of Joe Novacek,
Yeah,
I was at,
speaking of Dean
Olathe
Palmer.
West, where his brother Jay Novacek is the principal, and that is the
I thought he was a
nicest high
tight end.
school. That's their cousin. We've talked about this.
I know.
Literally their cousin. And so I was walking through their lunchroom, which is the nicest cafeteria I've ever seen in my life. It's like what you would expect Google maybe to have for their employees. It's like a Busch Gardens. It's like a little area. There's birds chirping. It's amazing. And it was noon, so every kid in the high school, it felt like, was sitting there eating. And so it's a little disconcerting, right? Walking through camera gear and everything. And what's more disconcerting is when the principal gets on the microphone and says, "Everybody, I want you to stand up and give Mick Schaefer a hand right here. Mick Schaefer of KSHB 41. He's walking through. There he is right there in the blue shirt." And everybody,
awesome.
and so I threw the bird up to him, and then I realized I was at a high school and it's for the kids. And so I quickly put it down. That bird was chirping for just a little bit. And so I just wanted to thank Jay for doing that. And really, with the program he's built there with his athletes, he was so unathletic as a high schooler and quote-unquote college player that I feel he has used his deficiencies to impart even more wisdom and knowledge and to drive these kids to greatness just because of how bad he was when it came to like swinging a bat or like running a football and stuff like that.
It's like the opposite of like what made Jordan not a good coach because he was always, why can't you do
so
this?
Easy.
Yeah.
It was so
No,
easy
just-
for the great ones. It was
just
so
do this.
hard for Jay.
Yeah, just do this. Why aren't you do this? It's not- I can't deal with this guy. I can't help him. Well, no, you can't help him. You can coach him. No, he can't do this simple thing. No, jumping and grabbing a quarter off the backboard is not a simple thing, Mike. It is for me. He's Muggsy Bogues. Give him a chance, man. Okay, he's Spud Webb. He can jump and he can dunk, but he cannot dunk on a 15-foot goal, Mike. I don't know why. I can't do it. I can't help this guy out.
Being Michael Jordan is hard for everyone except for Michael Jordan. Being able to turn this program around. I mean, I love the logic.
No, it's great. The worse, but that is true though. The worse you are at sports, the better of a coach you are.
That's what's made him a great
Look at these
principal.
NBA
He was
coaches.
so bad at sports.
Look at these NBA coaches. Come on.
Yeah, what's Steve Kerr ever done?
What Darvin Ham ever do? Okay, so there's a bad couple of examples, okay? But other than
Darvin
that, like,
Ham was a good college player.
yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like
Texas Tech.
they were pretty freaking good players at their respective, jobs and levels because you make the NBA, you're one of the best players that's ever lived at playing the sport of basketball. But like Budenholzer and Michael Malone.
But I mean, there's
And Jason Kidd, I don't think is actually a good
Tibbs.
coach.
I think
So
there is something to say about
Tibbs.
like just guys that are just on the cusp of that level, like a Kerr was. He was a good player, right? He was really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Like Ned Yost kind of had to figure things out just to hang on forever. And
That's
I think
true.
that helped him out in his managerial career.
That's true. Trey Hillman working in Japan, just
Yes,
right
yes,
there,
right
just
there.
close, and then he's a professional. He's a major league manager, no matter what anybody says. This is his first managerial job in the major leagues. I'm a major league manager. Japan's a major leagues, man. I'm a major league manager. No, you're not.
I'm on the side. He technically was.
This is going to be bad. He's walking in the clubhouse telling those guys, "I'm a major league man. I've managed in the major leagues before." No, you haven't.
You could say that about just about every Royals manager.
I don't
they've
think
had.
it's going to work out for Trey Hillman. I just
don't think it's
see
going
it.
to work out for blank. Tony Pena, Tony
Muser.
Muser.
I don't think it's going to work out for Buddy Bell.
Buddy Bell, Mike Matheny.
Boone may not have it. I'm not sure. Tony Pena, nice job. I think that Ned Yost needs to be fired after this wild card game. Sorry. There's no chance they're coming back. So after this wild card game, fire Ned Yost on the spot. Don't even let him get to the clubhouse.
Could have
Fire
happened.
Mick, do you
Fire
know
him
who
to the sun?
You know who the interim was after they let Tony Pena go?
Yeah,
Relative of
Bob
yours.
Schaefer.
Bob Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
Spelled different, but it's just to throw him off the trail.
This has been a fun show because we have gone stream of consciousness on many different things,
That's
including trying to find the Dean Palmer home run. But the stream of consciousness comes in with Bob Schaefer in that when the Royals had Matt Stairs, and Matt Stairs was awesome to be like near the field with him, and I was interning at the time, and so I was out there, and Mike Sweeney was doing the Dream Factory with Larry Moore and everything, and so before the game, the kids get to go out there on the field, and Sweeney was amazing with that, right? I mean, he would take them to the clubhouse, he would give them he would be around them the whole time. Like Sweeney wouldn't be doing like the guys are on the field batting practice and everything. Sweeney would just be with the kids. He was awesome with that, and so Mike Sweeney's sitting in the dugout with one of the kids, and they're filming it, because back then it was film, but they're taping the package and everything for this, and Matt Stairs walks up the steps from the dugout and is walking towards the outfield. Now, the Dream Factory kid was at the end of the dugout, so closer to, first base, closer to the wall, going away from home plate. And so he's walking away from home plate. He comes up the stairs, and then he's walking towards the outfield. Bob Schaefer is walking in the dugout behind him. He stops around first base, probably from me to Drake, maybe 15 feet away from the Dream Factory kids. And Matt Stairs looks at Bob Schaefer and goes, "Hey, Schaefer! Hey, f*** you!"
Oh, boy.
And everybody went, "Matt, whoa!" And they pointed over to the kid, and Matt Stairs looked over and goes, "He'll learn the word eventually," and then continued on his way to right field.
Weirdly, that's exactly what happened to Mick at the high school today. It was just one of those.
That was the same thing. They called me Shafe.
I was just like, okay, there's Matt Stairs, everybody. This is amazing.
Do you ever see Matt Stairs in batting practice? How most guys get out there, they'll try to take baseballs the other way. They'll try to spray it all over the field, right? Just kind of get in rhythm. He would try to pull everything.
Oddly
right?
enough, he would bunt.
The pitch could be 2 feet outside, and he would try to pull it. I always joked that you could hold a 5-year-old's birthday party in left field while Matt Stairs was taking batting practice, and it was no safer place on earth.
I used to joke about my buddy that the safer place to stand when he was shooting a basketball is right under the basket.
Yeah.
Just stand. Hey, kids, if you don't want to get hit, stand right under the basket. You'll be fine. You'll never get hit in the head with this. Mick Schaefer is hanging out with us on this Wednesday.
Matt Stairs played until he was 43 years old.
You know what,
dude? This is what peak athleticism looks like. If you don't like it, you're a hater.
He won somebody $25,000 in the Sonic Slam inning. He got one of them. He was one of those Sonic Slam in dead center field.
The first.
He might have been the first Sonic Slam $25,000 one with the Grand Slam out of the park.
I'm still waiting for a Grand Slam inside the park.
I know, right? That would suck, though. Like, does it really?
What a weird qualifier.
Do you really have to have that for the
something that never happens
for the insurance? Like, do you have to have the qualifier, the insurance of an out of the park home run Grand Slam that you can't have an inside the park should be $50,000.
Exactly.
Should double that.
Are they just taking away like the gray area for like the scorer to where like, okay, this happened.
Yeah.
It might be an error on the right field or maybe on the relay.
But it's the Sonic Slam inning. I'm giving him a Grand Slam.
Are they taking that human element because it's pretty objective?
Maybe.
Is it out of the park or it's out of the park? Okay, we can't do anything about that.
Yes.
If the guy at bat here scores, you win money. That's the rule I would like to implement. Guy in the batter's box right now, if he scores on this at bat, you're getting money from Sonic.
Here's the thing, though. It's crazy because my son's league, we see a lot of inside.
I was
going to
say,
exactly.
There'd be some errors going on. Yeah.
Well, we don't score errors, and everything's a hit and an RBI, so it's just a lot of inside the park home runs.
We used to call it a grandparent home run. Like when the grandparent goes home and talk, he had a home run. I've actually a grounder to first that went off the toe and into shallow right field. Route fielder was not paying attention.
Threw it to
first
second.
Baseman goes out, kicks it again with we believe the same toe, and then he overthrows second. It goes to the left fielder. Okay, at this point, he decides to run it in to third base, but he stands on third, doesn't tag him. So my kid just keeps running, and so then he overthrows home plate. My son actually misses home plate. But they throw a pitch before anybody realizes that, so the home run stands.
It's like clockwork, man. Throwing it to the outfield, the kid rounds first, running to second. Get him out, tag him, throw it, overthrows second, boom, kid rounds third, left fielder's got it, throws to third, overthrows third, kid keeps running, goes home. Inside the park, home run. Nice job. Tells everybody, hit a home run. Yeah, it was a slow roller to the right side. It's a home run, baby. You know what? Did I touch home on my at-bat? Damn right I did. Damn right. I'm also waiting for the first time our kids as first graders actually tag the guy when it's not a force out.
Yeah.
Because, if I had $1 for every time they just stood on the base and touched the base,
running
right next to the kid to go and beat him to the base, got him. Just tag him. Just tag him. So actually, something happened last year when we were kindergartners. There was a player, a runner at first and second. It was a ground ball to our third baseman who scooped it. The runner was coming towards him, and he looked at him, and he was running towards third to beat him, and they were running next to each other to get
Just
to
in a
third.
race.
In a race to third. It's like, just tag him. He ended up being safe because the kid beat him.
He's faster.
He was. Like, just tag him. We got a kick out of that. Like, there are some things when it's a little kids, like, you just got to laugh because you realize how difficult baseball is to learn. It is an incredibly, when to throw it to second, when do you throw it to first? Are you going to back up first? When to swing at it? Can I run to second? Can I not run? Do I have to run here because there's a runner behind me? Do I need? There's 2 outs. I can run on anything now. Am I going to do that? Do I have to tag up with this? Well, what if I throw to third over there? Okay, there's 2 strikes. There's 3 strikes. It's coach pitch. Do I get? Oh, now it's machine pitch. Do I get 6 pitches? It's still strikeout, or do I just what? It's unbelievable, and it's like, in a way, like, hey, soccer is going to be more intricate, but, you introduce the game of soccer to kids, it's like, hey, just run and kick the ball and just go score. Just go score to introduce the game. Baseball is so freaking hard to teach.
I have an incredible bit of remembering some guys' history here because Pete Grahoff in the Kansas City Star in 2018
does he have the
has a
of Dean
list?
Palmer?
He has a list of Sonic Slam home runs.
Oh yes,
and there are some names on here that I think will make you smile. So the very first winner of the Grand Slam grand prize of $25,000, that was off of the bat of a grand slam by Craig Paquette.
Oh, Craig Paquette had a
May 24th, 1997.
Slam.
That's your first Sonic Slam.
They were doing Sonic Slams back then?
1997, $25,000.
Man, I would have guessed that was like
mid-2000s. Off of Jamie Moyer, who was pitching, what, an hour and a half ago still?
Yeah.
Good grief.
He was actually 42 back then.
Yeah, it was in his 19th season as a major leaguer.
I saw that he had faced 8.9% of all major league batters.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Ever.
Get out. That's hilarious. His first year was in 1986. He retired in 2012.
19% of all major league batters?
8.9%.
8.9.
19%. Sorry, I was
so
looking
almost 9% of.
Dravetta was
wow,
texting
amazing.
me and said that there actually was an Inside the Park home run
I think I'm about to disprove this. His text is why I started Googling it.
He said, I'm almost certain they changed
not a Grand Slam.
the Inside the Park rule because in 2013, on July 4th, someone hit an Inside the Park Grand Slam in the 6th.
I've got
I
that.
think they've always said that though.
I've
even
got the
before
Grand Slam there,
2013.
and
I have no idea. I don't know.
We'll move up the list.
I have no idea.
In 2000, it happened twice. Dave McCarty
Yeah.
and Johnny Damon.
Yeah, Dave McCarty, you would expect. He hit, 50 home runs? He hit 5 home runs that year?
Let me see if I've got the
Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
total.
Keep going. Keep going.
And then, so 2000 was those two. 2002, it happened again, Carlos Beltran. 2004, Matt Stairs.
Yeah. Like we said, first one ever.
2004, just a couple months later, Abraham Nunez.
Abe Nunez hit one?
He
Five-tool
hit
player.
one. And then Lorenzo Cain did it July 4th, 2013.
Was it an Inside the Park one?
Well, so no, it is over the center field wall. So I'm gonna count that as a out of the park grand slam.
But if you're saying the ballpark overall, like, was it inside the parking lot?
It was inside Kauffman still, I guess.
Well,
I don't
inside
know.
the
I
park
appreciate
today.
Adam giving me the prompt to Google this. And then it's happened 2 times since then. Would you like to play a game? It happened. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's happened twice since this article's been updated.
Can
I
you
don't
give
know
me
if
a-
it.
I
happened.
remember in like 2000, it would have been 18 or 19. It happened.
17 and 18 are the 2 here that I have.
15?
Neither one of them are
Salvi.
your first guesses.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you.
Sorry.
I'll give you that. You know
Hunter
what?
Dozier.
I'm gonna make it easier for you. Go back to Salvi. Right position, wrong player. 2017.
Oh,
Cam
Mike
Gallagher.
McFarland.
Cam
Mike
Gallagher.
Mike
remember that.
McFarland.
Now, can
Brent
you
Maine.
can you tell me who hit one in April 2018? Whit Merrifield had a solo shot, $300. And then there's a grand slam.
Lucas Duda.
Great name.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, not correct.
Oh, because he didn't hit home runs with the Royals.
I cannot.
What position did he play?
I have no idea, Jason.
Okay. It wasn't Chili Davis.
I'm going to see how long his stint with the Royals was, and then I'll give you the answer. He played 50 games with the Royals.
Oh, was it not Getz, but Goings or whatever?
No, was it Chris? Something that you just said? That's not, no.
Chris Owings.
Owings.
Chris
Owings.
Owings,
Yeah,
there we
Chris
go.
Owings, yeah. Yeah.
Not Chris Owings.
I combined Chris Owings and Chris Getz to get Chris Goings.
Goings. And he was not Goings very far.
They might be the same person.
On April 22nd, 2018.
Hold on.
You want? Okay, all right. I'm gonna let you guys keep working on it. 50 games with the Royals, 151 plate appearances.
John Jay was on that team?
He was on that team, not John Jay.
Okay, I'm out then. Brett Phillips was a fun one.
Brett Phillips was a blast. Unfortunately, no.
Maverick didn't do it?
He did not.
Played more than 50 games.
Would we know the name? Even if we hear it, would we know the name?
This was in 2018. We should all know the name.
So it's not
Which is me
Alcides
deflecting. No,
Okay.
it's me deflecting.
Just go ahead.
Because I don't remember the Abraham Almonte era.
Oh, yeah, I do.
But if you do, he hit the Grand Slam on April 22nd, 2018 for that's the last Sonic Slam that I've got here from this article that Pete did in the Star.
Abraham Almonte.
He played, again, 50 games with the Royals that year. Don't know what happened after that. He just sort of bounced around a
Abraham
little bit and
Almonte hit 3 home runs for the
played
Royals.
for the Red Sox last year for 15 games.
Last year?
Last year.
I always thought he was a double-A player.
He OPS'd at 544 for the Royals.
I got it, Mick. I like that one. Thank you.
No, I liked it.
Let me see what his middle name is. He could have been a AAA player.
In 17 games for Arizona the next year, he OPS'd at 969. I wonder why that didn't work out for him. Interesting. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and I want to get mixed thoughts on Proposition 301, 302, and 303.
Policy talk next.
And also a little college football name, image, likeness for the video game geeks out there.
Let's go.
That fun games coming back. It's coming back, everybody. And we'll see if Mick can play better defense in the outfield than a couple of the Royals were able to do. Hey, you know what? At least everybody had their part last night. There wasn't one individual outfielder like, oh, he had a rough one. It was all 3 of them combined. It's a team sport, and it took the whole team working together to try to blow that lead. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Watching the Blue Wings rising.
By the way, was that anything that happened on the air that would be a reference to that? If it wasn't, I love the fact that we played that just out of nowhere.
That was just for you. But then this is even better. Here's Enoch.
Blue Wings rising. How did we get onto that conversation in the break?
That's where we do most of our best radio.
Sometimes I don't even remember how we got to points we were making in conversations on the air, let alone at
We
the
were talking
break.
about Phoenix, and we were talking about, the Phoenix Rising. We were talking about all the sports in Phoenix and how they wouldn't field it if the hockey team left because there's so much going on down there.
And they wouldn't have an
And,
MLS team because it's so hot.
It's so hot they have to build an indoor stadium. They do have Phoenix Rising, though. And then you said, Blue Wings Rising.
Watching the Blue Wings rising.
They ought to bring that campaign back for light bulb.
I agree, man. That was a great campaign. That's an oldie but a goodie. You know, you would. Rising.
I can almost hear what year that is. I feel like I haven't been
It was
able to
before Mangino, I think.
perfectly triangulate it.
If I'm remembering back, I think it was before.
Sounds kind of like a late 90s.
Marcus Mangino. So we brought this up. We were talking about it in the break with all of the sports in Phoenix that if the Coyotes left, they wouldn't feel it. Like it'd be like a mosquito bite when you just fell down a mountain. It's like, yeah, but this is itching. You've got 7 broken bones, but this right here, can somebody put something on this so it's not itching? It probably doesn't matter. But in one of the more odd turns of events in stadiums for billionaires in professional teams, that you have a team that says $2.1 billion is going to be all privately funded. And the city says no because they're going to give them a tax break on the site.
Really?
They, $2.1 billion to build the arena and the entertainment district with the hotels and boutiques and luxury condos, apartments, everything. It's a landfill in Tempe right now. It's the last part of Tempe that can be developed. Huge plot of land that can be developed. It's a landfill. So they set up a deal because they're playing in a 5,000 seat arena on the campus of Arizona State, and this dude's like, yeah, we're going to privately fund it. And the pushback is, well, that's BS. It's not going to be all privately funded because there's going to be about $740 million that's going to be publicly having to be funded at some point because they're going to have property tax relief for 30 years. That's about $500 million that the city would not get. So
they're not getting it now.
Yeah, it's a landfill. And then, well, you got to think $240 million to actually build the district. So that's $740 million. But the district is being built off taxes from the hotels and the bars and the condos that are being sold when the district is built. So it's quite literally no extra money from the taxpayers. Not like even the Royals where they're saying, we won't charge you any more. We're just going to extend the already tax that's going on, which
is still charging you more.
Is true. It's not charging you more. But if I went and bought a car and they said, hey, your note is up in 3 years. But don't worry, you can keep the car. I'm not going to charge you more. But I am going to ask you to keep paying the note for 4 more years. Well, but you're charging. No. It's the same thing you're paying.
Same payment.
Same exact payment. We're not going to charge you more. This is where, it's all coming from then those that would stay at the hotels and go to the games and go to the bars. The sales tax is going to be higher there, and other specific hotel taxes and bed taxes that are there are going to go to then build the district. And they said, no, we don't want it. So now the Coyotes are probably going to move somewhere, and it seems like Houston is going to be the most likely one. But just of all the complaints about the publicly financed stadiums, that you actually have a city that
in the city, I don't think they don't care if it's publicly financed. They care about, like what you just said. Can we make money off it? Yeah,
but
property taxes.
It's a landfill right now. They ain't getting any property taxes right now. And there's a whole issue with the Phoenix airport. So like Sky Harbor, and apparently there was a deal that was made back in '94 that Tempe would not build anything to where there's apartments or condos within 2 miles of the airport because the airport's then going to get sued for noise ordinances. So then they came to an agreement that the Coyotes would actually represent and pay for any lawyer fees of anybody that lived there that would then sue. They had to agree to all of this stuff just to get a deal done with the airport.
It's like paying for Michael Jordan shoe fines for his shoe being red. If you've seen the movie Air.
Yeah. And then the city voted it down 56-43. Like it wasn't even close with this. Like the Royals are trying to get like $1 billion publicly financed dollars to move downtown. And this team was like, we just want the property tax relief because you know what? We'll get that anywhere else we go. Guess what? If you wanted a Ford motor plant to be built there, there's going to be a property tax relief of some sort if you're going to attract a business there. That's just how it simply works in today's America or any real place that you're going to go and attract
So is
business.
the thought then that the team would look for towns with business districts and areas that are already built up to where like, okay, that $2.1 billion is now just nothing.
See, and that's where I wonder, like people are talking about Kansas City as a ready-made city that they can move right into T-Mobile. But I wonder if the owner, Alex Marullo, who has no ties to Phoenix, he's from New York, lives in L.A., and owns a bunch of stuff in Vegas. The only tie to Phoenix is that he owns the Coyotes. That's the only tie there. So it's not like, I'm never going to move. I grew up watching the Coyotes games. Really? Yeah, I've been back in 1970. Really? They were there. So there's no like John Sherman and the ownership group, Kansas City guys, that we're not going to move the Royals because we're from Kansas City. So there's no real tie there, but I wonder if there's a disadvantage for Kansas City in that he may want a blank slate to build his own district, his own arena, where are you going to come in and get extra revenue by then joining with the Cordish Company in Power and Light or the Royals and they're building a district for a reason. They want to take that revenue in. They want to get that extra revenue. Clearly the Coyotes want to do that. So I think that's interesting. And then if he's willing to sell, like, Houston's being talked about because Houston would have an area to where they can then build up this district. And there's like 3 or 4 different people that are like, yeah, we'll buy it. We'll buy it, because it's the 4th largest city in America. Mm-hmm. They've got some money there. And what's the ownership group in Kansas City that would step up and then be like, oh, you're going to sell it? We'll buy it. We'll buy the team and move them to Kansas City. Like the AEG and Boots Del Baggio deal is long past. That
might be another reason that the WNBA thing we kicked around briefly yesterday might actually make more sense, is because WNBA owners at this point probably aren't as hung up on let me have a district where it could be, hey, I'd like a place where we can fill the stadium and have a good environment around it. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, that could be one to where even like the Mahomes could invest in like the, you know what? Patrick likes hockey. He was at like Game 7 for the Stars, right?
It's every sport. That's
true. Yeah. Why can't Patrick buy the Coyotes? There it is. Figured it out. Patrick, buy the Coyotes.
Done. He and Clark can like figure out some sort of deal.
Come on, man.
And, you know, if they're really trying, circumvent the cap a little bit, break some rules.
That's right.
Get his cap number even lower. Don't break any rules because they'll take draft picks. Just circumvent them. Loopholes.
What the Patriots
Loopholes are how you stay rich.
I don't think the Hunts are in any hockey Hall of Fame yet.
They are not.
That could be the next one.
That's true. And they're not going to take away from a city that they have ties to in Dallas. No. Dallas already has the NHL. It's just, you know what it'd be doing? It'd be screwing Houston, which people in Dallas would love to do.
Ooh.
2 birds, 1 stone there, Clark. You get to own an NHL team with Patrick Mahomes, and you screw over Houston, and you help out the city of Kansas City. Boom, done. And that team would probably be in the division, right? To be in the division with Dallas in the NHL. So that's a great tie-in there, too. I mean, come on. Would Patrick Mahomes want to own a team that could, go against his Dallas Stars, though? Ugh. That's a tough one. I don't know.
Just do the WNBA team thing.
I mean,
we can do this.
Part owner of a team that goes against his Texas Rangers. Part owner of a team that goes against DC or Dallas FC Dallas.
That's true.
Right?
And luckily,
that's the Clark Mahomes rivalry there. FC Dallas and Sporting.
Luckily, he's not a Broncos fan because he does own a team that owns them. So that's good. By the way,
we should call it the Patricks. The Kansas City Patricks.
Kansas City Patricks. Yeah, Kansas City Mahomeses. We'd have to name it after some sort of a medal.
I'm fine with that. We can work on that.
Yeah.
We're going hockey first.
Kansas City Gold.
Gold's pretty good.
Yeah,
Steel's a dog.
Already.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the
Steel is the dog,
skates and stuff. There's probably something there.
Yeah, probably. Turns out you can't.
The blades.
That's a good new idea that's never been
original
done
idea.
before. That's a great idea.
I like it.
You want to go Kansas City Blades?
Boom.
Maybe
Missouri
what?
What's next on the list? We got that solved.
You know what you should do? Call them the Missouri Blades because bleep you, St. Louis.
Ooh.
We're the whole state hockey team. Oh, you're We're a nice little city in St. Louis. We got the whole state back in this team.
Maybe Mahomes buys the team and then names it in honor of Brett Veach and the guys who found him in college, called the Kansas City Scouts. Honor the scouting department. Hello?
Yeah, and it'd be the first time that they would do something around
Brand new name. Exactly.
I just like
Name it after
I
the
like
Boy
the
Scouts.
royalty theme, just like the Kings or something like that.
Ooh, that would be nice.
That'd be cool.
Kansas City Kings. Yeah, that sound. We should do that.
Monarchs or something, kind of like that sort of royal.
Or just like magical, because he's the Magic Man, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is called the Wizards or something like that.
Or just the Magic, even.
Yeah, or shorten it to Wiz. It'd be edgy,
Ooh,
right? Yeah,
that's
City
good.
Wiz.
I like that.
edgy.
Casey Wiz. You can get that down in
cool.
5 letters.
Yeah, no, that'd be pretty awesome. We got all these ideas, man. We're ideas people. That's what we're here for. Clark, if you need some help in investing, let me know. I mean,
You do military, like called the Stealth or the Brigade or something like that.
Kansas City Brigade and Stealth are both great names for franchises that will not be defunct anytime soon.
well done with the Brigade.
That's
pull.
a great one, Mick.
I was racking my brain to the next one, and you got to the Brigade. That is awesome. Or you can name it after like steak or something, like the ribeyes or like a T-bone or something like that.
That's good too.
I had to find one. Sorry.
Maybe you name it after like some of our great first responders who helped put out fires. Call them the Kansas City Chiefs.
You see the EA Sports College Football is coming back. 2014, the last year that they had EA Sports College Football. And that was the O'Bannon lawsuit that eventually EA Sports was like, yeah, we're not involved in this, and the NCAA won't allow us to do that. 2024, summer of 2024, the first time in 10 years. And it seems like it's going to be pretty easy to get it done. The players opt in. They sign something to opt in to have your name and face, and they'll do the whole scan thing to be in a video game in
Are they all going
college.
to go and you just have the Velcro ping pong balls and everything?
They said it would be
100 players per
They said
team.
it'll be like as close to like Madden, to where they would go and do that and scan them for the players that opt in. Your name on the jersey and everything, and you would get some sort of royalty, even if it's like 10 cents, dude. You're on a freaking for 99% of college football players. College is a great deal to play college athletics. It's a great deal. For the 1 or 2% that are superstars like that, name, image, likeness makes sense. You're one of the 99%. That's pretty badass to have a video game that's your
college scholarships are getting better and better.
Regardless of where you are on that percentile, by the way, being in the return of NCAA football, that's great for everyone's brand.
I can remember the exact day. It was like summer 1990, would have been 7. My buddy, who
Dean Palmer hit a home run.
Hit a home run. Same day, Dean Palmer hit a home run. My buddy, who I worked on his farm growing up, we were best friends. He was a backup linebacker at Kansas State. His sophomore year, he made second string, and he made the EA Sports game.
Cool, man.
And I saw him on there. His name Tad Melliker. And I'm like, oh my goodness,
that's awesome.
And I got the car, drove. I'm like, you're on the game, dude.
What did he say?
He was less impressed than me.
He didn't play video games?
No, he did. And I'm like, you're not. There's guys that are better than you, honestly. I'm just not going to play you, but yeah.
Why do they have your speed at 42?
Yeah.
You know it goes up to 99, right?
Train 'em up. I mean,
it's a 42 speed. That's odd. But you know what? Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You'll figure it out. No, that'd be all you got to do is players opt in. You just opt in and you can be a part of the game. And they mentioned like back in the day. They do that with Major League, with the NFL.
Good luck with the yearly updates in the transfer portal, boys. My goodness.
The portal's going to be a part of it. They will have a transfer portal. It'll be like the, Madden free agency. But they'll have transfer portal a part of it. They'll have, grad transfers and everything. NIL deals as part of like transfer portal and all this other stuff. So it seems like it's going to be pretty awesome for the guys, for people that are already in the intricate Madden series. You can do all those different things and update it with new things halfway through the season and download all that stuff. So that'll be a part of it. And people were pretty upset when that thing went away, but they were talking about it that, even the NFL players, Major League Baseball players have to sign off, and Barry Bonds didn't opt in, didn't sign off. And so I don't remember the name
what a fun guy.
I don't remember the name of the San Francisco Giants player that was Barry Bonds.
Really?
That was exactly Barry Bonds of like all of the numbers and everything, but it was
Terry Tons.
It was a random name with a different number, so it was not Barry Bonds.
But he was amazing.
Yeah, it was Barry Bonds.
He was Barry Bonds.
He had a homer every other at bat.
They just switched the first letters of the first and last name, so he went by Barry Bonds instead of Barry.
And John Dowd.
Genius.
may have been
Was it John Dowd?
And I saw this tweet from RG3 earlier. Again, he went third overall. He was a superstar in college. And he said, I remember being a white QB with dreads from Montana with no arm sleeve one year and Hawaiian the next. Those days are gone.
That's amazing. That is so. John Dowd was Barry Bonds.
I believe that's right.
When he would not sign off on the Heat or whatever MLB game it was that came out, that he was like, no, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah, here's your left fielder, John Dowd. He's
got power of 99.
He weirdly looks kind of like John Jay.
But it's not Barry Bonds.
Not Barry Bonds.
It's not Barry Bonds, just so you know that. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone right after this, hanging out with Mick Schaefer. He is the sports director of KSHP.
You see
41.
me in high school cafeterias.
Flipping the bird.
He was cooking chicken.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810.
But this Todd Lebo remembers the Dean Palmer home run. He said, oh, yeah, no, I remember that one, yeah. Didn't remember who was against or who it was off of, but remembers that home run, yeah. So now he's going to go ask Curtis. And then Curtis will give us the count. It was a 2-1 count. It was actually a slider that he hung. Well, the slider was about 88 miles an hour. How far did it go? I'd have to look it up. Oh, the only thing we want to know. I don't care. Well, the exit velo and the...
How many homers did he hit that year? Well, you don't know the year.
He hit 21 at Kauffman Stadium in 98.
And you think it was 98?
I'm pretty sure it was 98. But he did play the second half of 97 with the Rawls. But I think he ended up, even in that second half, I think he ended up hitting like 9.
You don't know the month.
So, I know.
Summer
It's like 30,
out of school.
So we had like 30 home runs at Kauffman Stadium. Speaking of the transfer portal, did you see Seth Towns, not related to Karl Anthony Towns? No reason to know who he is because I had no idea who he was before.
Related to Towns?
Yeah, absolutely. Before last night. He has entered the transfer portal, has Seth Towns. He showed up to Harvard as a freshman in 2016. He played 2 years at Harvard.
He's basketball?
Yeah. In 2018 and 19 and 2019-20, he was injured. He then transferred to Ohio State and played the 2020-2021 season. The 2021-2022 season, he was then injured in. Last year, he sat out the entire year, and now he has entered the transfer portal.
And by my count, he has 3 years of eligibility left.
Yeah. Eventually, he's going to have to transfer to Enterprise to like start a career in something besides sports. But like the next transfer probably should be a career. Like, where are you transferring to? A job. That's what he's transferring to. This guy showed up on campus before the Royals had ceased to be the reigning World Series champions.
Before Patrick Mahomes was a Chief.
Before Patrick Mahomes was like a junior. And so he showed up on campus the same year Mahomes showed up on campus at Texas Tech. It's not really, but
no.
You know, it's pretty close.
Before his junior year.
It's pretty close. Right? He showed up to Harvard, and the Royals and the 2016 Cubs hadn't won the World Series yet. The Royals were still the reigning World Series champions. And he just now entered the transfer portal. As if anybody would care. Since that was announced, so Seth Towns has now put his name in the transfer portal.
Harvard was a JUCO back then, I think.
I think it was a female college.
They had not.
So wasn't it a women's college?
They had not started Facebook yet at Harvard.
The Facebook.
The Facebook.
I think you should drop the.
Got his degree from Harvard.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, apparently so.
Smart.
I wonder if he knows the guy that the Chiefs brought in.
Truman
Jones. Thank you.
The Zone legend, Truman Jones.
We should call him Truman Zones.
We should.
There will be one player that we will have on the air at training camp if he's on the team at training camp, and that will be Truman Jones.
Yes. We're going to put that request in early and often.
You might be able to get him like every day.
I think he's going to. I think
we would call it the Truman Show.
I'm not going to try to give my serious football take. That's not going to be better than that. I think he's going to make the practice squad, if I had to guess right now. I think we got a hashtag project here, guys.
Yeah,
Do you know he went to Harvard?
Well, I wish he would have gone to Princeton. He could have been Truman the Tiger.
We're back in my wheelhouse now because I actually do have a lot of Princeton-based material.
Do you really?
I do.
Why?
I've really been inspired the last few months.
Are there a lot of nuggets that you could throw in there about Princeton?
Generic Princeton.
That, by the way, that was a preemptive strike by me.
It really was. You're right. I was like, oh, Princeton. That's a funny name.
Yes, preemptive strike.
The Nuggets own you.
The Nuggets. Oh, you got any nuggets about Princeton? Do you, Josh?
I wanted the Mavs to win. I wanted the Mavs to win the lottery.
Yeah, I guess Disney World wasn't the happiest place on earth for me. I knew the Tigers would win that day. It's just the stupid ones won. Aren't they smarter? Shut up, idiot. You're the dummy. Dummy. You excited for Victor Wembanyama to end up in San Antonio?
Wemby.
San Antonio.
Is he the next?
What a dud.
Is he the next? David Robinson. Is he the next?
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan. That they're going to just ride the coattails for 15 years.
Where's Manu and Tony Parker? Can they draft them too?
That Popovich is going to be coaching when he's 91, just yelling at every media member he sees. How dare you ask me?
He's going to do a mid-quarter interview. between the quarters interview and be upset. Yeah.
I know this is a wild take, but Greg Popovich is only 74 years old?
I would have guessed around that.
He looks a little older to me.
I actually would have guessed around 74.
All right, I mean, I guess I'm the idiot. That's fine. That's all right.
Yeah.
I thought he was 97. I thought he was 200 years old.
I mean, what were the other options? Detroit?
Yeah. Houston,
I guess.
I think it would have been fun if the Mavericks had won. To see Luka Doncic and
gotta stop saying stuff like that, man. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to see you anymore, Jason. I'll see you in a month.
Hey, man, best of luck on your marriage.
My what? Oh, no, that's this week.
Swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops. We've been serving golfers since 1968. Let us help you find the hottest gear from bags, balls, shoes, and apparel.